Everybody's thinking we're not because we didn't post it.
We got a thumbs up already.
You guys made it.
We're here.
It hasn't updated on my part yet.
It was kind of touch and go there for a little while. I didn't know if we were going to make it.
Yeah. There's some people.
I had to road that backhoe back into town.
Yep. I had to run my wife and 2 girls back to the house, feed, and haul butt back here. I had to go get gas. I had to go get dog food. So I made it.
You're a busy man.
I stopped and talked to an undercover guy. He said, since I'm undercover, because you heard me on the last podcast, let me tell you something about the undercover world.
Speaking of undercover.
There's the true undercover. The guaranteer of undercover.
I guarantee.
I guarantee. That ain't no rule. Missy, we're late too.
I decided today after talking to Benny, me and Benny had a long, drawn out conversation. I decided that we're just a bunch of social misfits, really.
Maybe everybody relates to us too, and that's why we get more views than anybody else doing live.
I think they're waiting for somebody to say something, because you never know what any of us are going to say.
That is true. I wonder if I plug in my Ethernet, it will be better, maybe.
How is it, Benny?
It's good.
Everything going fine with you?
Oh, yeah. Fine as it could go.
Lion cubs getting big?
No, I sold those lion cubs. I traded those lion cubs. I got 1 javelina and 2 porcupine quills.
What'd you do with that jaguar hide?
Well, the jaguar
Sold it to
hide
China.
I put in the basement.
It what?
I put it in the basement.
Oh. Under lock and key?
No, just in the basement. I figured by the time anybody gets there, the rats will have it eat.
I thought you sold it to China with all the...
I thought you might go down there and get naked and just lay on it every now and then.
Well, I didn't want to gross anybody out.
Oh, that's a bad picture in my mind. I shouldn't have said that.
The only ones that wouldn't be grossed out is Wayne Bisbee and his bunch, but I haven't heard from them. Where have they been?
I don't know where he's at.
Where are they at?
How about our buddy from, what's his name? The kid that wants to be a hunter.
Oh, he was on last week.
Dylan.
Wasn't he on last week?
Yeah, he was on, but we were in deep conversation about something.
Yeah.
We were bears.
We couldn't recognize him.
Yeah, you were talking to George about bears.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Maine bears. I have a hard time remembering week to week.
Yep.
I just found out today that my grandson drew a really good elk tag that starts in 2 weeks.
Good deal.
What unit?
21A.
If
unit?
there's an elk over there in 21B, but he can see it from 21A, is it okay to go ahead and get it and bring it across?
Well, yeah, we're on mules. We can drag it.
Just haze it.
just run around it and herd it back into our unit. No, I'm going up.
You hear that Cowboy Vaughn dog barking over there?
Sorry.
Cowboy Vaughn has retired. That's from days gone by.
Well, my daughter named a dog Cowboy, and it's from Vaughn. So.
Cowboy Vaughn.
Cowboy Vaughn dog.
Yeah.
CBTV.
CBV TV. That's how it started. But anyway, he drew a tag in 21A, and I'm going to lead a pack train for Mike Root into the wilderness this week, I think. And Of course, Mike knows that country really, really well. Matter of fact, that's why Mike can't do it. He's got an elk hunter coming in. So there you go.
So where have you got to go? You got.
We're gonna. You know where you and I were, Benny, long time ago when you got frostbite.
Oh my gosh! The only part that didn't get frozen off is my brain, so I could remember never to go there again.
When we were up on top, up on the very top there.
Yeah.
Well, right down in that big canyon, and then up, I don't know, probably, I forget how many miles, up towards Water Canyon. But the Forest Service is up there working on the trails, which is about time. And he called me, says, you know the country, do you mind packing this in for me? And I said, no. I said, I'll do it. I said, as long as I don't have to throw any fancy hitches or anything. I don't pack enough to, be real proficient at throwing a double diamond or a box hitch or any of that. I throw a one-man diamond. I throw a pack, or, top pack, which is usually my bedroll, and I throw a one-man diamond over it, and it holds everything pretty good. But he said everything's in panniers, so it's not a big deal.
Well, couldn't you just get more ropes and make a spider web across it?
Yeah. Have you ever tried to do that?
No.
It doesn't. There's a reason why everybody uses those hitches.
Wait, I just use ratchet straps. Is that not allowed either?
Hey, there's a guy that used carabiners. I seen it on a YouTube video.
I remember.
And he uses carabiners and it work. Well, as long as it works. I mean, it's no big deal. You just try to be a little more traditional, I guess. I mean, there's nothing to learning how to throw a one-man diamond in it, and for what I do, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, years ago, over in Bloody Basin, north of Phoenix, there we were working cattle, and Tanya Tucker showed up with a whole bunch of people.
I danced with Tanya. Did I ever tell you I danced with Tanya Tucker?
Oh, here's a story.
Oh gosh, listen to you.
I'm just saying, back in my younger days.
But they came in. They had a huge bunch of people going over the mountains headed towards Basin, and they had a little donkey, a little burro, and he was their designated beer packer. And so they used 2 wire milk crates, and they didn't have anything to tie them to, so they used some seat belts out of a car, and they strung the seat belts over his back and tied the 2 milk crates together, and then they put a couple of them underneath his belly, and off they went. And it wasn't very long. They had a terrible wreck before they even got out of the corral yard there. And that donkey, he didn't appreciate. Well, what happened? The donkey started acting a little goofy, and the gal holding him turned him loose. And so he went bucking, throwing beer all over the place. And those milk crates those wire crates were getting all, flopped. And beer was busting, and it was slinging everywhere. And pretty soon the whole entire bunch was getting bucked, and it was the biggest commotion. And we climbed up on top of the 7-foot fences and just watched. It was pretty good. But it was because they didn't even know how to figure out how to get that donkey to carry beer.
Just need some hard panniers and ice.
Well, they had the hard panniers. You don't get any harder than those old wire milk.
No.
And those are heavy. Those are like 8. I know, because in the scrap business, it's a milk crate that's.
Uh-oh. What happened? Hey guys, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. But I lost both these guys. It's probably my connection. There they are. There's Chris back.
No, I don't know.
We didn't hear your story, Chris.
Oh, so those are heavy too. Those are heavy because in the scrap business they always bring those stuff in. So the green shamrock milk are 4 pounds. The ones with the little metal ring on the top are 6 pounds, and those metal ones are like 8 to 10 pounds. So
they were completely full of Coors beer, when they started the race. And when they got done, there wasn't a single beer left in them.
When I was a kid, I was probably about 12 years old, 11 years old. My dad take me deer hunting every year, and we got back into the wilderness there. And a guy from he was from back east. His name was Bill Wiley. He shot a real nice buck, and I was riding a horse we call Poco. He was a Poco Bueno bred horse, and he was real easy. He was a good mountain horse, and you could pack on him. So of course I had to walk, and they gutted that deer, and he was a pretty nice buck, 8-point buck, and and you put them over the saddle like that, and you strap them down to your rings, and then you tie their head back over their self, keep those horns up, and they tied him back, but that rope that was holding his head back and up came loose, and that head fell down and poked that roan gelding in the shoulder. And poke him in the shoulder, and every time he'd poke him, he'd buck. And so there's a big old meadow there, and I just remember that horse bucking across, and that deer's head, whack, whack, and just poking him. And my dad running up next to him. My dad's a good cowboy, running up next to him and grabbing him and jerking him around, finally getting him settled down. But
he was getting spurred out.
Yeah, he was. Poor old Poco. He was a good horse.
We put a deer on a horse one time. Got them all mounted up on this horse. Went to go and took a couple steps, and something just didn't feel right. And he went to horribly bucking, and deer fell off. Saddle went under him. Made it all the way back to camp though, with the saddle under him.
Under him. Did he kick the saddle underneath him? Did he get it? Did he tear it up at all?
No, a couple little blemishes. Nothing. It didn't rip nothing. Didn't rip none of the skirts off or the fender, or none of the strap. I think the back. I think he both broke the back cinch. That was it, though. So, yep.
Let's see who we got in the comment section here. The peanut
Felipe.
gallery. Missy Fix.
Felipe Castro from Brazil.
Miss Fix says she's late, but we were late too. I just barely got in here. I just brought 80 pounds of hazelnuts home. Cool. Those are good. Good evening from West Virginia. Mike Rich. Randy Riggs. Hello from Colorado. Team Heavy Chevy. Hello, guys, from Tucson, Arizona. Trevin Hall. Have y'all heard from Nicholas Isaac? I think he's busy
working on his other book.
Writing a book. He's a brainiac. He's a real smart dude.
Oh, maybe we're too stupid for him.
Well, I don't even like to talk to him because he makes me feel so stupid.
What's funny is that guy's like 6'2" or something.
Is he really? And he ain't that big.
He's a big dude.
He's not that big around either, is he?
No. And if we talk crap about him long enough, maybe he'll jump back on.
He'll jump on.
I invite him all the time, but he's always busy.
Let's see. Jeremiah Flaw. Flaw, is that how you pronounce his last name, right?
Yeah.
Howdy, folks. This is the best part of being out of the wilderness. I did miss my dogs. Yeah. I might, like my grandson drew that. I got a deer tag, too. And I'm not a big deer hunter. I never really enjoyed it, but I'm going to go hunt them this year. But I just miss not having the dogs with me. I use bungee cords. Ain't pretty, but things ride good. Well, whatever works, man. Felipe Castro, hello from Brazil. We're national. We're nationwide.
We should just get him on.
National.
International. Does he hunt dogs? We're international. Does he hunt dogs? Felipe.
Let us know, Felipe, if you're a houndsman. Louisiana hunting. You sabotaged it. What is he talking about?
That's when we froze up.
Oh, caveman, I hear you. Billiam.
He's talking about the beard.
The earring. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Everyone is frozen except Brett.
Oh,
Caveman,
Billiam?
hello, Felipe. Mike Mitchell, hello from Indiana. And Jeremiah Fly, pronounced his name right. Cool.
You know who I bumped into today? Eric Meekum from Utah.
Related to Hunter and Stan and them?
He said he's into that family. And then he's Minx. Minx 95. He comes on here all the time.
Oh, really?
I called him Minix. Someone said he's from Utah. I stopped in his camp and talked to him for a little bit. You know how
I've
us
never
undercovers want to know everybody.
I've never met Stan or anybody, but I've talked to Hunter a few times on the phone. He's a good guy. He's a good kid. Yeah. And they're all super good houndsmen. Marty Beard, my buddy from North Country. Bail that cinch into him, as my dad always said with a big grin. Tighter. Tighter is always better than looser. Yes, sir.
Cody Land she was on an old mama horse. She's just a res horse, and she ain't built worth a shit. And we're coming down this hill, and mama horse just likes to just walk forward. Don't try to lean. And that old saddle, I look back and saddle's on the neck. Cody Lynn's hanging on for dear life. So yeah, tighter is better.
Yeah. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Huh.
What?
I just got that message.
We've been buffered.
I don't know what that means.
Are we buffering, guys? Are we buffering? I don't know. I think the internet's...
Hey, I listened to a really good podcast today, and I usually don't listen to him. That's Steve Ranella, the Meat Eater podcast. And they had the dad and the brother on there from the kid that got, or the guy who got killed by that lion in California. And he tells the story. It's an awful story.
The kid was there.
Yeah, he got cut up. He got attacked by the lion first.
Yeah. And the other brother jumped in, right?
The other brother was standing there. This kid was fighting it. And then the other brother was there, and then the lion got up and jumped on him. But the lion jumped on his back, I guess, and bit him right away. Bit him in the neck right away. But they said he threw his backpack at him and everything. Hit before the lion attacked, and the lion just kept coming. So they kept backing up, yelling and screaming, kicking dirt at him, and finally threw his backpack at him. And said that lion just kept going, kept coming. But it's California. And then they talk about how many lions they have there. And they say it's nothing to be driving down the road and have a lion run across the road in front of you like we do coyotes here,
Good job, Animal Act. Good job, PETA. Good job, Jesus.
Well, and that's
good job, cats.
That was one of those ballot initiatives. It's the same thing.
I've always said that when they do that kind of stuff, we should take all the wolves and dump them downtown. We should take the lions and the grizzly bears and dump them downtown. It's just like that black mule that I shot. I called him Obama. I always threatened to take him to Phoenix and dump him off in Cano Park. It's right downtown. It's a real big it's a big park. It has water in it, and he could have just run around there and choused the fire out of people, and they'd have never.
He was mean, huh, Benny?
He was. Right up until...
Tell us a good story. Tell us a good story about your interaction with this mule.
So, Marlon Horton, the saddleman.
Yeah.
So this mule was right next door to Marlon, and Marlon says, "Hey, Benny, this Mexican boy over here has this mule. He only wants $200 for him. It's a pretty nice looking mule, but I think he's a little bit giddy." So I go over there, and the mule, you can't get near him, and I crowd him up in a little narrow alley, and he's got his butt to me looking over his head at me, and I'm easing up in there, and I've got a catch rope with me, and Marlon starts screaming. Marlon always get pretty excited and loud. When I was up in the tree with that bobcat, he was really coming in court. But when I was going in there, he's going to kick your head off. He's going to do this. Marlon, would you shut up? You're getting him excited. So anyway, I get up there, and I ease up to that mule's shoulder, and I slip that rope around his neck, and then I've got him. Well, I end up buying this mule, and none of us ever thought about looking at his teeth. He's just a really nice-looking mule. And so I get the farrier over, and I, hey, trim this mule's feet. He says, "You want shoes on him?" "No, I'm not. I'm working with him. I'm not ready to ride him. He's a little cagey." So he says, "This is a pretty nice-looking mule. How old is he?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "You look in his mouth?" I said, "No." He was a gummer. You could see 3 or 4 places a tooth. And I can't
Had he
tell
been
you how,
passed around quite a bit?
I guess, I don't know. But I thought, well, he's acting too early and I don't have time. So I sent him off to a young man that was a really good mule skinner. And I'd call him all the time. And I don't remember what I called him back then. I did change his name. I really did change his name to Obama. And so I get to asking him, how's that mule doing? Well, he kind of, everything's going his way, and all of a sudden he'll just blow up. I said, have you tied him down and just left him there for 3 or 4 hours in the sun? Well, no, it's not my mule. I said, well, I hired you to take care of that mule. Do whatever you got to do. I'm telling you, tie him down and don't leave him there 30 minutes. Leave him there the rest of the day. Let him think he's dead. When you turn him loose, he'll be thinking that you're pretty swell. So he saddles him up, and he has all these, a couple 100 feet of cotton rope hanging off all over. And the mule throws a fit, and he steps off and throws him down in the dirt and leaves him. I think he left him an hour and a half the first time. So I asked him, well, how'd that work? Well, it was pretty good for a day. The next day he did the same thing. I said, well, I told you, leave him there the whole entire day. Well, it's hot out. I said, good, he won't die. And if he does, so. And so, I don't know. He had that mule for 8 months. And he finally says, I don't think this mule's going to get better. I said, I'll come get him. So my wife says, what are you going to do with that mule? I said, I'm going to shoot him. Well, don't you think you could try to get your money back? I said, no.
Butcher him, feed him to your dogs.
I said, why would I set someone else up? That mule will kill somebody that's not paying attention. You could be riding along and his ears was just flapping back and forth, and he was everything was going his way, and for no reason at all, he'd just blow in two and act like he was a bottle rocket.
Dang.
And so I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And I wanted to video it and put it on YouTube or Facebook or something, and she talked me out of it. But I let him out in the pasture, and I looked back over to the house where I had a real clear view to the back patio. Put the 41 right next to his heart, pulled the trigger, stood back at the end of the lead rope. He jumped up in the air and pawed at his head and squealed, break down. He did about 4 or 5 circles like he was break dancing, fell over dead. I got my halter off, came back to the house, and for the next 2 weeks, I shot coyotes from them.
Right off the porch.
Dual purpose.
Right off the.
When I worked in Kansas at Fort Riley for, on and off for a year. I was there for like 6 months one time, and man, we were working on a military base, and they would only let us work so many hours, so I'd get bored. I went to we were there in Junction. We stayed in Junction, so I went to Manhattan, Kansas, and I got to fooling around there, talking to people and this and that, and I found out where they roped. And so I went out, and this guy was a pig farmer, and they had pigs everywhere, but he was a roper. And this guy was probably 5'6", but his body was probably 4 foot of that 5'6", and his legs, little bitty legs, and his knuckle. I ain't kidding you. His knuckles drug the ground. I mean, when his arms, all his length went to his leg length went to his arms. I mean, and he was a rough looking little dude, and I didn't ever say nothing. I just went out there and I'd work the shoot for him. Finally, let me rope a little bit, and then one day, this other guy showed up, and he was on a young horse, and he was riding him around. He said, let me steer stop a couple. And he got in there and he roped one and stopped it, and the horse did pretty dang good. And then the next one, he came out, and the horse kind of scotched a little bit and didn't want to run up in the middle of that steer. And he reached back and over and under that horse. And I mean, that horse came undone. I mean, he was just sun fishing, and he threw that guy out there and made an arena dart out of him. Boom! That guy whose knuckles drug the ground. He said, we don't allow that crap around here. We don't allow. And he ran that horse down the alley and tied him down and laid him down, put a tarp over him, and ran the roping steers back and forth over him. He said, he'll never do that again. I thought, how is he even going to know that it had anything to do with him bucking? I mean, this guy was a rough little dude now.
But did it work?
I don't
That's
know.
what-
I never seen the results of that. But
Hey, I don't know if this is Casey or Diana says, too cheap to buy a good horse, too proud to ride a cow. The truth to every mule story. But
I know. Okay, probably Casey because he texted me, asked if he's going live.
so
guy,
I can tell you that John Clump has good horses, he has good mules, and he rode a longhorn steer in the parade this last weekend.
I seen that. He said he told us he was going to do it.
And
He
his,
did it.
oh, Chris, that 4-year-old granddaughter, Olivia, she rode another steer.
Poor steer. she's tough as they come.
Bulldog him down, pet him.
I talked to John this afternoon, and I said, "Hey, Olivia looked good on that steer." He says, "She's the toughest. She's the toughest grandkid I got. Nothing scares that girl." Well, no, not when Tyler's your dad. And he says, "Just go out there in the dark. You can hear that goat."
Yeah, there's snakes. You're on a horse, ain't gonna get you.
That's what he said.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what'd you do? Did you have to work all week, Benny?
No, I took off the whole week. I worked Monday and Tuesday. M. Shaw showed up 2 Fridays ago and ruined my whole existence. And so Monday, we spent all day out there getting all the M. Shaw stuff done. And Tuesday, I had to go back. And Friday, the regional guy for M. Shaw for this whole part and off into Texas was there, and he kept the knucklehead in check. And the local guy. Well, when they came back Tuesday, the local guy had a student with him. And so now it was his turn to get even. I mean, he went over the top and he tried to chew me out and lecture me and, scold me 4 or 5 times. And
I was going to say, that probably didn't go over very good, did it?
it didn't go over worth a flip. And so I told the guys at work, "Hey, I'm done for the week. I'm going to go home and take my antibiotics and see if I can't rest and get better." And so then today I go back down there because there's one more. He gave me 22 citations and threatened to pull me from the mine site on paper. And he actually wrote it up. And that's a pretty severe thing for MSHA to pull somebody. And they would in fact be shutting down the entire pit for anybody since I was the guy in charge. And so the big boss overruled the deal, which made the little guy mad. And so today they gave me 22 citations. And today I went down there and
I'd like to have been there just to look at Benny's face.
and I was busy loading trucks. I was shorthanded, and we had 50 loads of base course we had to load. And the loader was too big for most of the trucks, and that was causing issues. And then 2 MSHA guys show up, flag me down, and say they need an hour of my time at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they left at 3:30, and that was only because they wanted to be home by 4. And that was Friday, and the local guy says, "Well, I'll be back Monday morning to see if you got all this fixed." And I said, "What? Monday morning?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, don't waste your time coming back." "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "It's Friday evening. Nobody works on Saturday and Sunday. So we don't have time to get all this stuff done." He says, "Well, then what would you like?" I said, "How about if you leave me your phone number and I'll call you when I'm ready to see you again?" And he says, "We can't do that." I said, "Well, you asked." So he gave me till Tuesday, and we had it all done except for 1 or 2 things. And so today I go down there, me and another guy, and he said, "How much have you been running this crusher?" I said, "Since when?" He said, "Since the last time I was here." I said, "We haven't run it at all. Since you came in here, we weren't running it the day you showed up and gave us the inspection. We haven't run it since. I told you we weren't going to run it." He said, well, that's a lot of downtime just because. And I said, now listen, I haven't lied to you once. I've been straight up honest. And if you're going to start accusing me of lying to you now, this deal's going south right now. And he just looked at me. He says, well, what about that pile there? How many trucks have you loaded? I said, what part of when I told you I was shutting the gate and walking away did you not hear? He said, so you haven't loaded any trucks? I said, well, I guess that's what it all boils down to. He says, so then what are you doing here today? I said, we're here today for you so that you can sign off on this last infraction. Oh, well, that makes me feel special. And I said, yeah, don't get your head too big. And he just looked sideways at me. And so he did that. And he said, well, when can I do this and this and this? And I said, I don't really care when you do anything. I said, because as soon as you leave, I'm closing that gate. And I don't care if I ever come back here again. And he just looked at me. I said, remember, I told you the truth the whole time. So that's how it worked.
So when are you going back?
Hopefully never.
Really?
I told the superintendent that I didn't hire on to babysit that junk crusher, and I certainly didn't hire on to absorb all the heat from MShaw for all the junk that they hadn't taken care of prior to this. And I could give a rip if that son of a bitch ever ran another rock in its life.
I knew Benny was a short timer over there. I could just tell from the first day I talked to him.
Well, that's not the owner of the company hired me to run a sand pit. He has a huge construction company and he has concrete trucks and he doesn't make 1 ounce of sand. He buys 100% of his own sand, of sand from everywhere else. And he's got the property and the sand. He just needs somebody to get it done. And so that's what I hired on for 6 weeks ago. And we haven't made any sand. We haven't done anything. So
it's almost like a bait and switch.
yeah, but not by the owner, by the superintendent.
So he can go pound his own other people's sand now, not his own.
Go tell him pound sand. Pound somebody else's sand.
Pound is, you're not going to make your own, pound someone else's sand.
So I got done with MShaw today and I talked to the superintendent and he says, well, tomorrow we'll have you guys take a forklift down there and start unfolding those big conveyors and start putting them together and start acting like we're going to make sand. I said, good, that's what I'm here for. And so I took off early today. I came home, got my land yacht, hooked onto it, took it north of Roswell and dumped it off at the, if you have.
You still got that great big trailer, that thing? Is that what you call your land yacht?
Yeah.
I've never even lived in a house that big.
I got lost in it when I stayed in it down there in Douglas.
Yeah, it's got little arrows up on top, doors this way.
in case you get lost, pull your finger.
I mean, what does it have, like 6 axles underneath it?
Just 3.
Two goosenecks. a pusher bar.
A pusher and a puller.
It's and you gotta have 3 pickups to pull it side by side.
I think Benny was when he bought that, he's trying to compensate.
We bought that. That's the only thing we could find. We were looking for that brand, and that was the old original Jayco, and people just weren't selling their Jaycos. And we ran onto that on the side of the highway in Lubbock, Texas. And I got the deal for what the woman owed on it, and it was about half price at the time.
Then you had to go buy a bigger truck.
No. Back then I had my F450 pulling it. You don't need anything bigger than that.
Chris, tell us some bear hunting stories. You've been up in the woods hunting bears, and
so I just sent you a video.
Let's see.
That's a
Let's.
fan. That's your fan sticking up for you. I found it again. I think it's a lion, but it's not. It's not very. They're having a hard time. Oh.
Can't lions like turn off their scent or something?
What? Can lions what?
Turn off their scent, something like that?
You want to get beat up on the internet? Lions can't do that. Quit listening to Brett Vaughn. You believe everything he says?
Maybe.
He said maybe.
That's my excuse. Oh, he just turned off his scent after we trailed a fox over the next ridge.
You know, I had something treed for a while. 4 of my dogs, and they don't leave a tree, and there was a gunshot, and I was thinking, man, I hope someone didn't shoot my bear off. So we, it was like 800 yards away. We walked. I walked from camp. I took 6 dogs and a couple pups, a pup, Stinker, and 4 my good dogs. And we went, and we walked over to this mountain, and they took off. I just let them go, and they treed. So we haul butt over there, and that, you know, that's Trevor right there, and he has a bear tag. He's ready to shoot a bear. We got.
What's he packing? What was that? That's a Henry, but what is it?
Yeah, 45 long Colt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with a pinch more powder than it should be. So, but he don't know that. But we got over there. We got about, so I had 2 dogs leave and start. They both stuck together and were trailing off, but they're going the wrong unit. So I don't know if maybe it jumped.
You don't have your mule with you?
No, I had all my kids. I was actually gonna bring it.
You can
today
drag it back into the same unit.
I would have just hazed it back in.
Yeah.
I don't have no bait in that unit. It's all over in this unit.
Yeah.
They need to stay here. But 2 took off. 2 stayed treed. I'm like, that's weird. You know, maybe we treed doubles, and I don't know. So we got in there about 150 yards, and they moved off. So we went to cut them off, and we finally caught up to him right there. And that old white dog there, Vaca, she was just licking rocks, man. She was
craving that scent.
She wanted it, and then if you look that dirty dirt, it was all burned. They got into that burn where there was a bunch of burn and ash. Her tongue was black, just from, you know. So I said, well, I don't want to stay here in Cold Trail, but I said, you know what? I remember we had that conversation last week about just letting them go, and I said, yeah, we're not doing nothing else. I sent Cody to pick up the other dogs. You know, they did cross the unit, so I said, listen, if it ain't a lion track, if you can't find a lion track, pick them up. If so, let the others go. But she couldn't find no track. I think maybe they were back trailing it, and it was feeding into one of them oak trees. But so I went up this mountain where there is lion, and I let them work it, and they just couldn't get it. So, yep.
I had a kind of a terrible call day before, or yesterday. Was it yesterday? I have a friend of mine who's an insurance agent. He works for a big insurance company, and he's over there in where the hurricane hit. What is that? South Carolina? Is it South or North Carolina? Yeah. And he called me, and this guy was upset. He was, he said, there's people over here dying. He said, people are dying. He said, it's awful. He said, it's the worst thing he'd ever seen. And he had told me, he said, if you can on your YouTube channel and everything, he said, make a public service announcement, say that he said what they need is they need mountain men. They need people who can ride rough country and get into some of those back places. And he gave me the name of an outfit called Save the Allies. His name's Tim Kennedy, I believe. He was the guy who went over to Afghanistan when Biden and them screwed up and shut down and pulled out and left all those people there. And he was over there getting people out. They say he's a double tough sucker, special forces guy, retired guy. So I sent him a message, man, it made me feel bad, because my buddy Kyle, he wouldn't have just called me for nothing. He was serious. You could tell he was choked up, and he said, I've seen things that just terrible. And And I called the guy and I left him my number and they got a website and you got a form you can fill out, and asked him, how we could help, what do they need, what do they need the most of. And I called Mike Root, and because of course Mike, he's got a whole string of mules and everything, and I talked to him, and he said, if I didn't have I'm obligated to these hunters. He said, if I didn't have all these hunters, he said, we just load up and go. But I haven't had a response yet, so I don't know. They might just, they might need money. They might, I don't know what they need, but I'll help as much as I can. And I went in and talked to my wife. Of course, my wife says, she said, you can't do anything like that. She says, you'll get in trouble. And I said, what do you mean I'll get in trouble? She said, because, she said, one of those FEMA people or somebody will say something to you, and I'll treat them like an undercover agent. And they'll probably kill me and throw me in one of those rivers or something. But they say it's terrible. They say the government's not doing anything. And Kyle told me this is something that's strange. Beside his cell phone not working, he said his cell phone didn't work, which is understandable. But he said he couldn't even take pictures with it. He couldn't take pictures, and the gauges on his truck went bananas while he was in there. Yeah. I think all these new trucks, they got tracking devices on it. They know I'm getting just like Benny.
No. Let me tell you a secret. I just found this out. No matter what, if you have any of these newer trucks, and newer to me is anything above 2000. Any of those little fins on them, any of those little, they're all can be tracked. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yep. Well, after he told me that, I realized that. And then when I talked to another guy that's, I talked to Mike, and Mike was, special forces or something. He's a double tough sucker. And he said, they're just jamming everything over there. They're jamming it. And
I heard Kamala was going to give him $750 a person.
Said they was going to mail it to them. They don't even have mailboxes. They're gone.
Hey, just hold your hand out in that river and just start picking up mail.
That's $750. Don't even get me started.
Let's give Ukraine billions, and let's give our own people $750, just like they did with Maui? Didn't they only give them $700?
I don't know.
Our government is a pathetic joke.
It is,
and I don't care who comes in. I don't care if it's a Democrat. I don't care if it's a Republican. I don't care if it's independent. I don't care if it's a Muslim. I don't care. I don't care. You come in and stand up for the people and take care of your country and tell all these other countries to F off. I'm for you.
I agree. We got to keep it at home. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. And then I watched a newscast where they interviewed the guy who had that helicopter that he flew in right away. He flew in, and there was a man and a woman on their roof of their house in the flood, and he went down and picked up the woman, and I guess it was on the roof of the house. But anyway, he picked up the woman and brought her out and left his son there. I guess he had a little helicopter. I didn't quite understand, but he left his son there, and he flew the man out. And some guy who was in charge there told him, said, you can't go back. If you go back, I'm going to arrest you. And he was only 3 minutes. It was a 3-minute helicopter flight. And he told the guy, he said, you're not going to stop me from going back and getting my son. I'll go back and get my son. But I know exactly. I mean, if you ever done any work for the government, the only reason was it's not because they were trying to, torture the people or anything like that. It's the bureaucratic, mess that they have of filling out paperwork and going through this procedure and that procedure instead of just getting shit done. You got to go through all that crap. Well, there's people dying. You got to go. And so he went back. They finally went in there and got the woman. He got his son, and he grounded his helicopter. And it was like 2 days later, they gave all the paperwork was done. So then he could go fly in and help people. It was crazy. Missy says
government, they're a bunch of punks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They don't know how to get anything done.
Worthless piece of shit punks. And why are we still paying these guys? Why? If you hire a contractor to build you a house and he goes and puts up a tent, are you going to pay him $500,000 for the house? So why are we still paying him anything?
Because they overpower us and they make all the rules.
They make all the
And
rules.
They overpower us here. And that's it. All these sheep ass people. People will throw the first rock. There's nobody that's going to stand behind them, because when they throw the rock and turn around and see who's behind them, everybody's looking another way, because they're punks too.
Well, I tell you what, I really do believe that after this coming election, I mean, there's going to be, something's going to happen. I just, the way it's building up, and
No matter who wins.
yeah, no matter who wins, something's going to happen. And I don't know, I don't want to get into all these conspiracy. I love a good conspiracy theory anyway, but
está bien. Hablo español, ya sur.
but anyway,
mean,
I
it
have had the
starts out
hounds
at
out.
the bottom.
What's that?
It starts at the. I mean, look at California and their politics and the lions. You know, you have people on podcasts saying my son's killed by a lion, and no one cares. The cat people, you know what they say? I bet you they say he deserved it. He was in their. He's in their country.
Yeah. Oh, geez, don't get me started on all
There
that.
was it gets worse than that with some, not everybody. And, you know, these people are probably the rare people, but I saw one of those knucklehead people that was acting that way. And they said that they thought that in their mind, it would be the ultimate way to die, to be killed and consumed by a mountain lion. And I thought, well, yeah, until you're staring him in the eye and here he comes. But there's people that have the mentality, and you can't argue with it.
And get
I wish
crapped
I
out in one of
knew-
those little twisty turds.
I wish I knew which cat person was consumed by that, so I could kill that lion and consume it, and then I would be happy. That would be my dream.
After the lion ate them.
Carol.
That's
Carol.
only one step from cannibalism.
Yep. So stupid. Anyways, speaking
Middleman.
of
Brainwashed idiots.
I tell you what, I got so many calls. Literally an hour ago, a guy stopped and said, "You know who it is?" Because I called him out at the Hound rendezvous. You know, and I heard all that story of his family. But he called and he said, I don't know if he just listened to it. But he goes, "Yeah, I guess I'm undercover." That's, well, yeah, you got a fancy truck that government pays. But like, you know, I said, man, you wouldn't believe the calls I've got or the messages asking if we were talking about them. No lie. So, like,
Well, I talked
but
to
listen.
I had that
where is our undercover guy? I guess
Mr. Rollins.
did he
Oh,
not-
we don't say his name. Sorry. We
Oh, what did we call him? No, we had a name for him.
Knucklehead.
Knucklehead. Well, Knucklehead
where
called
is he?
me and talked to me, and I told him, I said, "Hey, you know, we don't care. I'll send you a link. Come on our show and defend yourself." That, you know, I apologize for saying
Being
so
an
many
asshole.
saying so many bad words to him. I mean,
Being Brett.
I don't drop an F-bomb very often, but man, when I do, I just let it go. But and he said he was sorry too. He said he really didn't mean to, you know, to insult or, you know, threaten me like that. He said I didn't mean it to be a threat. I said I took it as a threat. But anyway, I start to get angry just thinking about it. But we talked for a little while, and I said, "Hey," I said, "Benny will be on there." I said, "We'll send you a link. You got a smartphone. You get on that phone, and you come on, and you can defend yourself. I mean, tell us your story." And I mean, the people are going to believe you or they're not going to believe you. That, you know, we can't control that, but we can give you a platform to explain yourself.
Yeah.
And he said, "That sounds good."
Maybe-
He said, "If he wouldn't be on tonight," and I haven't had a message anywhere. I should go check my phone. I'm like in this Faraday cage. My phone doesn't work in here. But I said, "We'll send you a link and you get on and if he said if he wouldn't make it tonight, that he would be on next Monday night. He's guiding elk hunters, I think, somewhere.
Maybe he couldn't get authorization from the commission. Come on. I don't know. Come on, commission. Let your guys come on and explain themselves. You
So
got
now,
busted.
so on our little show here that we have, do we have to be careful about saying people's names?
It's better.
It's
It's
your
better to
show.
keep the. It's better to keep the suspense going until he comes on.
But I mean, if we decide to talk bad about somebody else, can we not use their name?
True, they can't get you for defamation of character.
Just use my name. All the bad guys.
Defamation of character, but don't we have a freedom of speech?
You do, but you can still, if he has a business, like if you're saying this guy's a child molester, and all of a sudden his business crashes because and if he's not a child molester, you really kind of hurt his business with false. So yeah, I mean they can go civilly, they can go after you for defamation of character or whatever.
Huh. Well, from now on, it's knucklehead then, because I'm not going to say it.
I can give you vomit
Listen,
bones.
if you could get it right, we got a prize for you.
Well,
There's some
work.
people I know. He's not. I don't see him on the night. He hasn't commented, so he can't. He can't. He's not in it because he's one. I did talk to him that night. You know,
Who? Oh, who are you talking about?
the one guy I was telling you about. I like to keep people in suspense.
The guy at the rendezvous?
No, he didn't show up at the rendezvous.
But he's undercover.
He could be.
He's watching
I
you.
don't
He's
know.
back.
I talked to the undercover guy for 20 minutes right here.
He's back there behind those trees behind
Oh.
you.
You ever,
Isn't this-
what you got to watch that movie Departed. The two guys are sitting out front, and the guy walks by, and he's really an undercover guy, and he says he's a cop, and he looks over.
This a,
You know,
Isn't
What is
what?
this is
Can't hear you, Benny.
this is a cover, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Benny. His
Told
little
you.
welding hat. He's reminiscing his welding days.
Undercover
guess-
well.
I guarantee.
Mr. 7018. Jet Weld. Mr. Jet Weld.
I think when you're really vague. I find humor in it when you're vague, and then when people call you. But if you're an undercover, are you really gonna call and say, "Hey, man, don't tell everybody I'm undercover because I'm undercover"? No.
Speaking of undercover, I went to the Game and Fish today and talked to the
To
big
check in.
to give them my notes from the last few weeks.
I
No,
almost got Chris over here to bear hunt. Just give me time, guys.
See, I'm working on Benny and Chris. I almost got them spill their guts. I just got to get proof.
Arizona can't catch them. Let me get them over here. We'll get them.
No, but I went down there and I turned in a lion here, 3 weeks ago. And then I went down there and I got to talk to the big chief because I had some suggestions for them they're going to have this contract come out for the bighorn sheep ranges, catching lions. And they got a bid going out. And he was real nice. I never met him before. He said he met me years ago when I lived up in the mountains. He come up there and seen me. And I know Big Mike came up there and seen me. Of course, I know Big Mike, and he retired. I sold him a dog years ago. And but anyway, super, super nice people. I mean, so helpful. The lady behind the counter, I don't know how. Remember we talked about that, I think. I don't know how to use one of those e-tag things. She went through it with me to show me how to use the e-tag. And I didn't even know how to get on my log into my deal, on the Game and Fish. I'd forgot my password and my username, and she pulled it all up for me. And then I asked about that, and she said, "Oh, the chief or whatever they call him, they say he's here." And he came out and talked to me. Really, really nice guy, really good guy. So there you go. I just thought I'd say a good word for the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish. They were very pleasant. Very, very helpful, and then gave me some phone numbers of some people.
and then tomorrow, the warrant comes out to house.
Yeah. But anyway, no, I'm serious. They were good, and I didn't. I mean, it's not that I didn't expect it. It's just that they're, you go into a lot of government agencies or state-run agencies like that, and they're not the most helpful people in the world. But these people were.
So, who took Mike's place?
That Ken, I say Ken Logan. What's his name? I can't remember his name right now. Ken Logan's the biologist. Another biologist. He's that guy. Oh, what's this guy's name? Yeah. I can't remember right now, Benny. I got some old man stuff going on.
Position Mike held, right?
Huh? You're quiet again.
Position held? Mike was the second in charge of the southern region of New Mexico, and that position is the plainclothes investigator.
Why do you think I sold him a dog cheap?
I used to go to all their. I didn't mingle with them. I hid in the bushes and listened.
No, I know you. Mike was always good to me. I mean, he was always straight up and honest with me, best I could tell.
I got, most of my wardens are here, and all them guys. It's just like most people who don't like wardens or cops are usually people who had a bad experience or did something wrong and got caught. And I don't want to mention no names, just some knuckleheads we know.
Don't want to defame his character.
Yeah,
he does that. He does enough of that himself.
And I get, I've had those guys ask me questions, and I'm just like, man, I don't know. I don't hunt with those guys, So the most dangerous poacher is the one that is not a poacher that hasn't been caught yet. Because the only way you become a poacher or an outlaw is if you get caught. But there's people out there that's done that their whole lives and have not been caught, and they're that sneaky.
They live under a rock.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
The only time I ever had any words with a game warden was when that guy stopped me in my buggy on the highway. And I said, "What are you doing stopping me?" He said, "Well, we've got traffic. They can stop you on the highways, whatever words that is." And I just shook my head and I said, "Don't you have something better to do?" I mean, stopping me on the. I think he was just curious. I had a dog box and dogs, and I think he was curious about what I was doing. He didn't give me a ticket or anything, so I guess he was nice.
In New Mexico, the game and fish are in charge of side-by-sides, UTVs, ATVs, all of that. And
they can give traffic violations for cars, speeding or reckless driving or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. They think they got all the authority, and they don't.
Oh, no, they do. Whether you like it or not. They're a peace officer of the state.
Hey, and this guy wasn't even wearing green jeans. They were black. I took note.
I think all of ours wear regular jeans, Wranglers, whatever.
2 weeks ago, I had this conversation with a retired state cop. And I said, so how much authority does the game warden in New Mexico have? I said, I see him at all of these, they call them DWI checkpoints, but it's the lie that they use to try to make you show your driver's license and insurance and all of that. And I said, so I hear that they can come into your property without a search warrant. He said they cannot. In New Mexico, a game warden is only in charge of game law violations, and they have to be invited onto a crime scene by other law enforcement, or they can't just show up and act like they're the cop going down the highway. They are in charge side by side. The governor gave that. And
I think you better check. Benny. You're wrong.
Well, didn't Ed Barnes talk about that in Oklahoma where they were allowed to come in. I think Chris Powell tried to debunk it and said he said the same thing. Absolutely not. They can't just come in.
Oh, they can't come into your private property.
They still have to. I mean, if you give them permission to search,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
And that's what they're going to try to do. And if you're an
That-
outlaw, you're not going to give them permission. You're going to let them go away. You're going to hide all your shit, and then they're going to go get a warrant, and then they're going to be twice as meticulous as turning over every rock in your yard.
Well, that's what made me upset about that conversation. Was said, well, you give us permission to come in and search, and then you say no. Said, well, then now we're going to make it hard on you. Oh, bullshit.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, yeah. That's like threat. That's there I go again. That's threatening me, and I don't like that. Do your job. Get a search warrant in the first place. Get your damn search warrant in the first place. Come out and give me the search warrant, and I'll open the door and let you in.
Look at Jeremiah's comment.
Somebody
hunting with me assaulted a ranch caretaker with a burrito, and the person said it was too funny to prosecute. He doesn't come at me with the bean and cheese, man.
He hit me with a chorizo burrito on the side of the head.
That tortilla was stale. It could have poked my eye out.
That's funny.
I did. There's a game warden that's in charge of this unit that I live in, and I had the government trapper when I was in the hospital. I was in the hospital at the nursing home. I was still out with COVID, and the government trapper was here catching coyotes because they'd come in the yard and killed all my chickens while everybody was up there worrying about me. And so the government trapper was thinning the coyotes down, and the electric company, there's two sets of high lines going across my property, and a contractor for the power company was out there doing some work, and my wife or my son, somebody found where that crew had found a coyote in a trap and was trying to feed him a sandwich and everything else. And they turned the coyote loose. And then they picked up the trap and they went out and found some more traps and threw them. And so I call the game warden, and we go round and around about the deal. You know, that's illegal, first of all. That's against the law. And so the game warden says, well, you know, I couldn't make it out there in time, and I was going to talk to those guys. And I said, well, how about if you don't ever come on my property for any excuse, even just to come to my door and say hello, I'm just checking. Unless you have a search warrant, you're not welcome. You'll be considered a trespasser. Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. And I said, well, it's official. You have no business on my property in the rest of your life unless you have a search warrant. So that's the way it is.
See, they're going to show up now and want to go down in your basement, Benny. Mr. Griffin, we have a search warrant. You're going to have to step aside, son.
Can you please go put your clothes on, please?
We have reasonable cause.
Yeah. Listen, that Speedo's cute on you, but you're going to have to get dressed. I am not searching you.
There's that vision again.
I'm here to talk about the burrito torpedo incident.
Oh, jeez. Come on, Benny. Okay, well, what else do we got, gentlemen?
What dogs? Let's quit talking about. Let's talk about some dogs. Anybody got any questions about dogs? How about my dog who hasn't caught nothing in 4 days? I've been out here.
Go ahead.
Since Wednesday, right? I think I've gotten a hunt maybe 2-3 mornings. I have a neighbor, and she finally got shipped down to Phoenix, Arizona. Because my son, we was all out here. She called, said, I got to go to the hospital. My son that was home went home and took her to the hospital. Like, she has no family, so I've been busy, man. Trying to hunt, but I feel like every time I try to hunt.
Well, every time I talk to you, you're driving back and forth.
That's in the mornings. So.
I mean, you're driving out of Phoenix.
Oh, Yeah. I had to go down to Phoenix Thursday. So Friday morning was just a short hunt. Saturday morning, I had a good tree. I thought I had a good tree. Sunday morning, that was yesterday. I don't remember what I
He
did.
showed up and said, "I'm here to talk about the burrito torpedo incident."
Yep.
I've been legging up my dogs, getting them out. It's staying cool. It's pretty cool early in the morning, and there's a guy.
I got an
I was up the canyon. First, I'd gone up the canyon with the male dogs the day before, and then the next day I went up the canyon with the female dogs, and I ran into some walkers, and a man and a lady, and the man said, "Are you hunting lions?" And I said, "Yeah," and I said, "Yeah," I said, "but mainly I'm just exercising dogs." He said, "Well, I found a lion track up the canyon there, yeah, had a cub with it." And I said, "Really?" And she said, "Well," and she said, she tried to correct him. She said, "Well, we weren't sure it was a lion track." He said, "No, I am sure that was a lion track." And I got, as I drove away, I thought, I said I was up here with the male dogs the day before, so he probably seen, Booger or Rusty's foot. They got a big old foot on them anyway, and he thought it was a lion track. But then I went to bed that night, and I woke up the next morning. I thought, man, what if he was right? What if that was a lion track? So I loaded up next morning and took those female dogs up there and hiked all the way up that canyon. And right where I came off the hill with the male dogs, and I followed their tracks. I followed their tracks exactly to see where they walked, to see where they seen the lion track. And sure enough, they walked right by my male dog's tracks. I've chased lots of those tracks before in my life where you get a call, say, "Oh yeah, we got a big lion track up here."
I seen a tail. It was a long tail. You go there and they can drop a pin. You go there and I'm like, man, I'm not seeing nothing. I see a coyote track. Anybody ever used any Great Dane blood for lion? So my dirty dog, I bred him to a Great Dane because they wanted her to calm down and they were going to get her fixed, so they wanted her to have a litter. They're just too big.
What in the world for?
Well, it wasn't my dogs, but my mother-in-law, my wife's parents, got one of the pups. Here, I'm yelling at dogs back there, and it's just a big dog. So I think you just have to breed. They're too big. Dirty's too big for me. If you look at my dirty dog, I'll have a picture of him and I bred Dirty to another dog, and I'm getting like 30 to 45-pound dogs, which is what I want. So.
Yeah, I got that little speckled female. Boy, she just continues to impress me. I mean, she's trashy. I mean, but man, she trailed a fox the other day, and I mean, as good as anything I've ever had trail fox. She's nice in the way she trails and the way she works it, and her voice, and she's not babbly, and she only weighs about 30 pounds, 35 pounds. Nice, tight little cat-footed. And so I'm going to work my butt off this year to try to get her on some lion trees, and make sure that there's no faults in her like that. Time you get there, and then I'm going to go breed her to the best dog I can find, and then I'm going to I don't know, I might keep all the pups myself because I'm 63, so another 10 years, I don't know. I might be an Orville Fletcher though. I might be able to hunt until I'm 90.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Orville or
Warner.
Warner. Hey, they asked Kelly to be on that Lionheart, and she didn't have time to do it. I did find that out today when I was listening to that. So, but
she's extremely busy between everything she's got to do, and then running a bunch of stuff with her daughter Mackenzie. She's very busy.
I think whatever is going to happen with Warner Glenn needs to happen now, though. They got to find that little hole in time and take every bit of time they can and get as much knowledge and from him. I
got an interview with him. Me and Benny sat down and talked to him for a couple hours, didn't we, Benny?
And I think we're going to that interview and put it on our platform.
You're going to what?
I think you and me talked about taking that interview and putting it on our platform. I had some ideas today about sponsors for that, so I'll get with you later on that.
Yeah. No,
And
yeah,
we
whatever
started,
works. I don't care. I'll give it. W Hunting
yeah.
Supply will run it, and you run it. I mean, it's information that needs to get out there. And basically, I mean, he has the same story. There was not. I don't know. There wasn't a lot of new stuff. The best thing was being able to go out and tour through his tack room and his museum there. I wish I'd have videoed his museum and his tack room and talking to him about his dogs, where he kept his dogs and all that stuff was real interesting,
It's,
wasn't it, Benny?
If I'll tell you what, Brett, if we get down that way again, we'll just go horn in on them again.
I
Well,
don't think
maybe
it's
we should
about
call him
having.
first.
I don't think it's about having new stuff. I think it's just inspirational stuff. You could watch probably 10 interviews with the guy and it's just inspirational stuff, like I let you all these podcasts, they're all the same stuff except ours. We're better than everybody and get more views and we're cooler and we're funnier and we're
Well,
better
we got
looking.
Benny. I mean, if we didn't
We
have
got
Benny
Benny.
here, we'd
We
get
got
10
Benny.
views. We'd get 10 people in here. Benny's
And
our attraction.
and you also wouldn't get those abusive phone calls.
Well, where people call me and threaten me. So, man,
That's
I
it.
can't control Benny. Nobody's ever been able to control Benny.
Jaguar.
Out
I heard this about
of
Jaguar dog. But you're talking about tight feet and all that, but my yucky dog is the sloppiest, ugliest, bigfootest. The one
Absolutely.
guy says, "Is that the dog that his feet are out?" I said, "I'm telling you, that dog will and run and run." So I don't care about Benny's genetics. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna announce that publicly. I don't care
okay,
about genetics. I honestly don't.
tomorrow
Now,
morning,
I
take
think
a
to
hostage.
consistently breed dogs, you need to be a little bit concerned about it.
So hey, you just wait. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to give you a hostile phone call about that crap Chris is talking.
here we go. I'm gonna get sued.
You're
I'm gonna get sued,
going to threaten
and he's
you.
gonna sue me for mental anguish.
Mental anguish.
Yep.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
I had that Hoover dog. Of course, he had really good genetics, and but he had a big old splayed out foot, big old ugly thing, and you'd have thought he'd have got sore footed, but he had the toughest pads in the world. He didn't get
Yeah.
sore footed.
I'm telling you, that yucky dog in the desert, in the pine needles, it don't matter where you are. I've never had his pads rip or wear. He just but he's now when you get to genetics, it's not a dog I want to breed. You know what I
There you
mean?
go. There you go. Now you're
So,
talking.
and I'm not saying genetics don't count, but I think personally, you breed your dogs. If genetics is what you like, that's what you like the papers. But if you got good dogs, I mean, that's your genetics, I guess.
Exactly.
It's
That's
still
the genetics.
genetics.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
still the
don't think a
same.
piece of paper will tell you
No,
if
now that's
you're going
registry
to breed a
papers.
good dog.
You just know.
Well, the only thing I did was write down the lineage.
Mm-hmm.
It's registered right here in my desk. But other than that, some of the
Yeah.
stuff, him had the same papers, and I don't know what Steve does or anything else, but I just wanted because I know that there's times that I can't think of the dog's
Yeah.
name or came from, and if I write it down, then it's easy for me to follow it all the way back.
I made a book. I created a log book that says my dog's name. It's all blank. Everything's blank. I made a big book and it says the dog's name and it says who the mom and dad are. I have when they came in heat, just stuff like that. If they have puppies and I give them to somebody I know, I'll write down their phone number. So
let me see here. Look at this, Benny.
There you go. Jazz.
And here's Lily.
I think everybody at least should keep a notebook and just write down. And honestly, you should really keep a notebook and just down dates and times you ran and what you ran. I'm real bad about it. I should do more, but I don't. But I record a lot.
You know, when you look at these dogs, Benny talks about genetics. When I talk about these, when I see this that I've written down over the years, I mean, it all goes back. They all go back to the same well-bred, old-fashioned stuff. And I mean, that's, I guess, genetics. And like I've said before, it's not like I was smart about it. I just got to be around decent people who knew what they were talking about. We lost Chris.
I've got a book that I wrote down the dogs, when they were born, what they looked like, where they came from, and the day that they died, if I have that.
And I'll tell you something, I've outcrossed, well, this little speckled dog I talk about that I'm so high on, she's a quarter run and walker out of Cody King stuff. And the one thing I have noticed about the run and walkers, I've got one full-blood run and walker out of Cody King stuff, and I've got a half run and walker. They have a lot of endurance. They really do. They have a lot of endurance.
There's a dog that I traded for a custom saddle.
Did you go get your papers, Chris? Is that where you went? Did you go get your papers so you could show your papers too, Chris?
It's all right here.
It's top secret stuff.
Yeah. No, I was looking for a hoodie, but they took my truck to kill turkeys. They're trying to get youth turkey hunts going on. So.
What were we talking? Oh, that. But you guys need to. I mean, if you're interested in the lions in California, the guy. I'm not sure who was on there, but it's Steve Rinella's Meat Eaters podcast. I can't remember what episode it was, but you can look it up. But they talk about all the statistics and a lot of really, really neat information on lions, in Oregon, Washington, and California, and places where they've outlawed lion hunting. It's really interesting. I forgot to say that before, but
there's my kids back from turkey hunting. Now I can go get my hoodie. You can always tell when someone pulls into camp.
The dogs greet them.
Oh yeah, I got 10 here. My daughter has 4. Another guy has 5 or 6. These guys, my dad has 8. I don't know. They're like 30 dogs.
Those people that were walking up the canyon, my hounds all ran right up to them and sat down. They petted them, wagging their tails. They were all happy. I said, man, they're just happy to see somebody besides me. Yep. What else? Come on, Benny. Tell us another good story.
I'm under intense scrutiny, and I don't want to incriminate myself.
You're being watched. I know that.
I've been being watched for 25 years, maybe longer.
But now you're out in the public eye where the whole world can see you.
So, have you ever been around a lion that his only intention was to get on you?
No. When I was years ago, I was bow hunting, and I had a lion come up to me about 15 yards from me and sit there. And to this day, I never will forget that lion sitting down about 15 yards away, and that tail was over him, going like that. And of course, I was bow hunting, and there was a bunch of deer down below me, and I think she just mistook me for a deer. I was all camoed up and everything. I was trying to knock an arrow real quick, and she ran off down the side of the mountain. But no, I've never. I mean, some of those toms. they don't act, they're not scared by no means. It doesn't seem like they're just like it's almost like you're just irritating them. Like they just, here's somebody that's just pestering me.
Did you
Cody Lynn.
did I guys the story online about catching 3 lions with Scott Derringer?
Mm-mm. Tell us the story.
Tell us the story.
Felipe, I was a youngster. I don't know. I was in my early 20s. And Felipe Perez was a sheep rancher from Glendale. And he had his summer country was between Ash Fork and Seligman. And I had told him, you know, the lion hunters only got paid $200 bounty on lions, and it's really worth more than that. We saw one night a lion. Well, there was actually 3 lions. They came in and killed 48 sheep in one night, and I mean there was wool all over the hillside, dead sheep laying everywhere. It doesn't take very many nights like that to put a sheep rancher out of business. And so he ended up. I don't know how he ended up finding out about George Goswick and Scott Derringer. George and Scott were hunting partners back then. Rink, George's son, and Rink had a son, Brian. We were all on this hunt together. But on this particular deal, it was just Scott. And Felipe called me and said, "Hey, we got to go up there. They killed some more lions, and Scott Derringer's going to be there." And so we go, and I'm watching. We're having a trail. It's summertime, and we're having to trail the lions in the dirt. Just watching, going down the dirt road. You can see their tracks plain as day, and the dogs can't smell it in that powdered dirt. And so we're trailing along, watching, and pretty soon Scott had a dog named Lep. He called him Lep. It was a leopard cur, and I don't know if it was a leopard cur, if it was a Catahoula cross or whatever, but anyway, it was a leopard colored dog. And I told Scott he was up on a rock and there was a bunch of brush below him. And I said, "Hey, look at old Lep. He's winding something." And Scott says, "Yeah, he thinks he smells something, doesn't he?" And about that time, Lep jumped down in the brush and 2 lions jumped up on the rock. And the race was on. And so everybody took off. I don't remember. I don't know that anybody had any horses at that time, at that on that hunt. But anyway, I counted 3 lions on the skyline, and
Wow.
they killed 2 lions. And we went over there and ate a sandwich, and I woofed down my lunch. And I said, "All right, guys, I'm going to go back over." And they said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to find that other lion." And Scott told me, he says, you counted the same lion twice." Kind of got under my skin, Stupid kid, you don't know anything. And I didn't know anything, but I know what I could count lions, 1, 2, 3. And so I went back over there to the last place I saw that other lion. And my dog, I had one dog, and my dog went with me, and 2 or 3 of Scott's dogs went with me. And I'm prowling around over there, and all of a sudden I hear a muffled fight, hounds carrying on and growling, and I was on top of this rock, this hillside, and there was a little tiny hole where there was dust coming up, and out of the ground, and I put my ear down there, and I could hear those dogs fighting with a lion in there. And so I yelled, "Hey, you guys, come here! We got a lion!" And I jumped down off of the rock into the brush. Well, it happened to be right by that hole where that lion went in there, and the lion starts growling, and I'd climb back up on that rock pretty quick. And so we get over there, and there's 2 holes in there, and they think they've got the lion wounded pretty good. And I'm the little skinny guy back in the day. And so they say, "Hey, you got to go in there and see what you can find." And the holes still, there's a commotion going on in there. The dogs are in there fighting and bellowing and carrying on. And so one hole comes in high and goes down pretty steep. And so I went down in the lower hole, which was about level with everything. And I said, but you guys, if I go to kicking my feet, you snatch me out of that dang hole. And so I went in there and I had the flashlight there with me, but I didn't have it turned on. And I crawled in there until I couldn't go no more. And I thought I was up against the dogs and stuff. And I turned that light on, and that lion was, I had got up against that lion. And that lion turned around and looked at me and was about, I don't know, 14 inches away from me, his face, and went to show me her teeth and everything. And they were pretty shiny when I turned that light on. And I went to kick their feet and they snatched me out of there. What'd you see? What'd you see? It was a dang lion, and it was only right here. And so they decided they better see if they can get that lion wounded better than that. And so all the commotion kind of dies down, and I go in from the other side, coming in from the top and go down. And I said, you better put a rope on me this time. And so I go down in that hole, and that lion is pretty sick, but still pretty full of herself. It was an old female, smooth mouth female, living with two 2-year-old female kittens that, her kittens were supporting her. And so I get out of there and I said, hey, give me a pigging string. And then when I go to kicking my feet, you snatch me out of there and keep the pressure, because I'm going to have that lion on the other end. And I went down there with that pigging string, and I throwing that pigging string over there trying to catch that lion, throwing it like that. And every time the lion would swat, it'd miss that string, knock it off. I had to regroup, and I'm holding the flashlight with one hand and trying to snatch a lion by the foot with the other hand. And all of this time trying not to get in the middle of everything. And so I finally get the lion caught, and I pull tight on that string, and here comes the lion growling and carrying on. And I kick my feet, and I kick my feet harder and harder and harder. They pull me faster and faster. I get out and I say, at the end of this string is your lion. Get ready. I pulled that lion out of that hole, and they took care of the lion. But that was pretty hair raising.
I don't like cave holes. Not at all. Not even big cave holes, let alone a little one.
But what it was, that rock, there was a real big cavern behind that rock, like it was up against a hillside. And over the years, the dirt had settled in around it. And it was a pretty good place for the lions to hide out. But whenever I got in there and turned on the flashlight and that lion showed me her teeth, I thought, this is too close for comfort.
Oh, yeah. And no place to get away.
No place at all.
Hey, did you ever run many bears, Benny?
No, not many. I ran some bears, and I never had any of those short races. Not one. The closest thing
that's the only one. That's the only ones I ever caught was the short races.
The closest one, Jim Brooks and Ray Mayhem, Larry's dad, and I went up to horse camp up in north of Bloody Basin, and we were going up there to go bear hunting, and we had my dogs. And so we get out there, and Ray had some little junk dog that he fancied Hound and wanted his hound to go with my hounds and learn something. And we go off in there, and I had bought a dog from Richard Dickerson. He was half bloodhound and half plot. He wasn't very tough, but he didn't know he wasn't tough.
Did he have exceptional nose on him?
Yes, he did. And we called him Grizz. And Grizz run off in there and struck a bear. And we're on this hillside that's just pure manzanita brush and oak brush, and it's just thick as it could be. And those dogs run that bear down the canyon, and we're standing there on our horses and mules, and just listening. And pretty soon that bear turns around, and he's headed right towards us. And I said, hey, that bear's coming right here. And that Ray's dog bailed out when the bear got too close. Ray's mule started blowing her nostrils huge, and her eyes were bugged out, and she starts blowing and hissing and carrying on. And I see the bear probably missed us by about 12 feet, and I can see the bear going up the canyon. And I said, hey guys, I gotta go. and I go to whipping and spurring, and I'm going after my dogs because they're hot in pursuit of the bear, and I don't get very far off. I don't know, maybe 200 or 300 yards, and Jim Brooks starts yelling, "Hey, Benny, hey, come back over here! I need your help." Ray's mule was bugged out by that bear, was really spazzing, and his little old dog quit the race and snuck in there and crawled right up underneath that mule's back feet and rubbed that mule's back legs. And that mule just knew that bear had got a hold of him, and he went bucking off down through the country and pitched Ray off. Now, Ray, at that time, Ray was in his 60s, and Ray said, "Oh, that mule didn't buck me off. I just looked for a good bush to get off on." And he got unloaded right in the middle of a cat claw, and we had to really cut that cat claw to pieces to get him out of there.
Jeez.
So that was one of my last bear hunts. I said, I've had enough of this crap. And that Grizz dog, he's the only dog I didn't get back. And 2 weeks later, Rick Dickerson was hunting over on Pine Mountain, and that's probably 20 miles from where we were. And a woman came to Dickerson and said, "Hey, you're hunting down here, and maybe you know whose dog this is." And Grizz showed up 2 weeks later at that woman's house, and she brought him to camp over there with Dickerson, and he was skin and bones, had all the feet run off, and he was such a trash pig. He didn't care. He was free, and he was in the woods.
He's enjoying himself. Chris, are you okay?
Yeah, my boy's trying to boil water and make sure he's not burning himself.
Do you think you'll always run bears, or do you think one of these days you'll quit running bears and just be a lion hunter?
I try every year to quit running bears, and it's like right here 20 minutes from the house, and I just can't.
You just got it in your blood?
Well, and there's lions here and bears, so I go run bears. I always wanted 2 separate packs of dogs, so I could just run bears and then run lions. You take your lion dog with you, and if they get a track, you'd let the lion dog go. But I don't know. I don't even know why I got it. 2010, I said I want to go run bears, and we caught a bear. So, yeah. The undercover guy told me Friday he was driving. Look, he's going to be the undercover guy no matter what, if he is or not. He was driving, seen a bear. It was bedded down, jumped up, ran up a tree 3 foot away. I'm like, dang, man. I have to chase him 12 miles, and undercover guy can catch him in 5 seconds. Made me angry.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I hear you guys talking about bear hunting, and I know these terrorists will run a bear.
It's fun to me. It's fun.
But I think
have a lot of roads here. You can't do it. You can do it on a mule, but there's a lot of roads
in the right country.
Here.
In that country where up at North Percha where I was, well, Benny had been up there, and I caught. Well, you teased me about the pictures you seen about the bears, and I caught some bears, but it was for every one I caught, I lost dogs. The other times I lost dogs for 3 days, and it's just that country is just too hard. There's no roads, and it's just steep and too hard. And the trails aren't beat out real good, so you can't even really ride around on the trails to get anywhere. You have to bushwhack. And after that little quarter Airedale I had got smacked by a bear, and she wouldn't run one anymore, but she'd trail a lion. That's how I kind of got my dogs broke off bears. She didn't. If she came back to me, it was bear, and I could, reprimand the other dogs. But now I wouldn't mind going to some good country, and maybe hunt out on my buggy, and just go somewhere where there's a lot of roads, and
this is the spot.
Run some bears like that. Let those dogs run some bears. Just, I don't know. I probably shouldn't.
I would have killed some bears already, but I'm only treeing boars. I got to shut the unit down. So as soon as I get a sow,
it's
2
dead.
of them, we're done. They're going down.
I just want I want a bearskin rug over the back of my couch.
And you have to know the unit, because I get people come over here and they're confused of where we even are. I've been around in circles with a guy in my truck, And I got back and I said, "Hey, do you know where we're going?" And he goes, "I have no idea where we are." And we'll turn into the camp. He's like, "Holy crap. If you told me to get out right now, I walked that way as far as I could." And he was nowhere near going to camp, and it was 500 feet away.
I'll be dang.
You got to have good roads. That's why everybody hunts here. And Unit 1, 27 don't have as many roads, but Globe, same thing. Globe, it's hard to hunt bears where I hunt. There's no roads, but there's minimal fences too.
So
You
you
know, and
could get
that's what
around pretty
stops you on
good.
a horse or a mule is fences.
Well,
You know.
bluffs. I mean, up there, in my country is
Oh
the
yeah.
bluffs and the down timber, and fighting it, trying to beat your way through it, trying to get to where the dogs go, and
Well, the thing about a mule, you tie it up, you get up there, you get 80 yards from the tree, and that bear says, "Nope." Then you got to hightail it back. So you're
Yeah.
a mule. You know, I've been to the point where I got on my mule, went back to my trailer, loaded back up, and chased them. It's tough. It's tough. You know, I mean, you have to have a badass horse or mule, and you have to really know
well,
the
you still
country.
got to be in
Even
the right country. I mean, you got to be in country. You can still get around on them. It'd be
yeah,
neat if they got all the trails worked up here. It wouldn't be bad. The old
yeah.
cowboy. I mean, there's some good trails up in that country, or used to be, but
There's
they haven't maintained them, and there's nobody been hunting them, so they don't have them beat out at all. So,
yeah.
and then the fire came through, and the thorny locusts come up, and it's really bad now.
Oh, that deadfall's horrible, man. I've been in trees where there's dogs. I've been in area where the like things are like 4 or 5 feet tall, and you're on a log, a deadfall, and you hear the dogs under you.
Yeah,
So if you fall, you may fall right on that bear inside that little fight going on under you. So you got to be careful on that deadfall too. When you got, some of that deadfall is 10, 15 feet up in the air before you realize you're that high up there.
yeah.
So I don't know. I enjoy it, but I also like being down in that desert. When you're down in that desert, it's slow going. You
Man,
know
I've
you're
had enough.
probably not going to catch it.
I've had enough of
And,
the dry old desert for a long time.
but
I've been.
that's what I enjoyed. I never got to see the dogs work when we were bear hunting, and when I switched over and just went to lion hunting and doing it on the desert, I could just sit there and enjoy watching the dogs pound on a track for you
Oh,
know.
that
The one
yes.
I learned about is they're jet propelled, and the difference between them and a lion, I got to actually see step for step where the lion traveled, how he went, and I got to understand more of the lion's habits. Where the bear, as far as I know, the only habit they have is crap and run 200 miles an hour.
That's what old Mike Dillard came up and hunted with me. He's Riley Miller's ex-son-in-law, whatever. That's what he told me. He said, "Man," he said, "the world is flat to a bear. They don't care."
Yeah,
Yeah, up or down. I've
Yeah, they
I've
just
been up
go.
stuff. I had to pull myself up with trees, and that bear didn't even slide. You just see right up the hill, flat footed, didn't no slipping, no sliding, just goes.
Well, I
well, if you watch those grizzlies on TV in those rivers that would shove you and me off the falls, they're right on the edge of a 40-foot fall, and they're just standing there catching fish.
yeah,
Yeah,
I've never been around grizzlies.
yeah, not yet. Cody Lynn just came back, and the other day she shot at a coyote, and I said, I think that was a wolf. So I was just messing with her, got her all. She seen two coyotes out even further. She says, I was going to shoot at him, but I was afraid they was going to be a wolf.
Just
Yeah.
just don't tell a soul.
Yep.
What
I'm not
else
that
do we
big about
got?
dogs.
What else is going on? Tell us about your buddy that you were talking to me about earlier. Are we allowed to talk about that on here, or do we have to be careful?
Which one?
The
Who's
foreigner,
buddy?
the foreigner.
Oh, yeah, no. That has to be a secret for a while.
Is that top secret?
Yeah, there's stuff
Sorry,
going on.
guys. I can't. If Chris don't want to talk about it, I can't talk about it.
Hey, yeah, I don't even want to be guilty by association, man. There's just people. There's just people that do stupid stuff, and how they don't get caught. If I threw my cigar butt out the window, I'd probably get a ticket for littering 6 months later.
Starting a fire.
Something, or a shotgun shell fell out of my truck somewhere. See it, I'd get a ticket. Some people just go do dumb stuff, and how they don't get caught, it's known. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. We talk about undercovers. Let's talk about outlaws. There's a lot of people out there. No, but I'm not saying anybody.
Present company excluded.
Yeah. I'm not saying anybody we know, but there's a lot of people out there. I watched some of that. That Shorty Gorm with Robbie Kroger. They did a review on Lionheart. Pretty
the
original,
Lionheart deal. How was that? Was it pretty good?
I told you earlier, I'm gonna check in a lot of that, and I don't know. A lot of people start these C3s and they use it to gain money. What they do, and it seemed like he didn't. Robbie has a plan. I didn't know about none of that. And that's what these podcasts are good for, is sometimes you find out from people that you think is, even an outlaw. I just heard from somebody that 10 seconds after.
You should have heard what we said about you earlier, Cody.
Yeah, you should have been on 20 seconds ago.
Yeah, you're going to have to back up and watch the whole thing.
Yep. But they were actually talking about, we've talked about it 100 times on our show. That's way better than anybody else's. But it was talking about, hey, all three of us think it is. It's right.
Yep.
But it was talking about,
we have a unanimous decision here.
Social media. And he was actually talking about, posting stuff. And he had a good story. I think it was Shorty Gorm had a good story. And he said, I ate lamb when I was young, and it was horrible. And he's ate lamb after that, and it's been good. But because of this first experience with lamb, every time he thinks about lamb, it's horrible. So if you take a non-hunter and they have a horrible experience or see something bad on social media, they're literally, who's laughing stupid over there? Jesus. Everybody on the internet heard that goofy laugh, whoever that was. He says they see something bad, that's their first impression. So harder to get them. So these people posting stupid pictures or videos, and they even said the same thing. You get the people like, oh, it's my right. And he said, if you love it so much, then why would you do something to hurt it? So just don't post a picture. We've talked about it 100 times.
Yeah, I agree.
Social media, and you get people that are like, I'll do what I want. Well, go ahead, but it's just, you're going to leave that bad taste of lamb in their mouth. And every time someone has lamb for dinner, they're not going to want to eat it.
It's the chest thumper.
That's what?
Everybody's got to stand up and give it some of this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And there's so much of this nonsense going on, and everybody likes to talk and they like to brag themselves up, and then they act shocked when somewhere down the road something happens. I was over there at Logan hunting with Wesley, and there were 3 lions in this canyon, and the dogs caught a big old tom, and they killed and tagged the tom. And I had 5 dogs that go to the vet. They got that tom down in a hole, and I mean, he chewed on them pretty hard. And so somebody said, well, aren't you going to stick around and go hunt those other lions? And I said, absolutely not. Well, why not? Well, I've seen a couple lions in my life. It does, it's not the end of the world. And everybody knows that I'm here. and everybody knows because of that dead Tom. So why should I hang around? It's not the end of the world. Why don't we just leave them, and somebody will have a tag later on, and we can go hunting again. And I've got 5 dogs I need to take to town and get them looked at the vet. So I left, and somebody called me later and said, "Well, we heard you left." Well, yeah. Why? I said, because if I didn't leave, there were no more tags in the area. I don't have a tag. I didn't have a license. And so all it does is just bring more scrutiny on me when everybody finds out 2 weeks later that I stuck around and went lion hunting some more. People don't think. I didn't have a tag, and therefore I was just there with my dogs with Wesley, and it's just best if I just go home. And my dogs, like I said, I had 5 dogs that needed to see the vet anyway.
Does Joel
Yeah.
hunt that same country,
No,
Benny?
Joel doesn't go far up.
He doesn't.
No, that was right. That was right at Logan. That was just between Logan and Mosquero.
Yeah.
Joel sticks closer to Tucumcari, I think.
I haven't talked to Joel. I want to call. He had asked me to come up before. I want to go up there and hunt with him. I want to see that good dog he's got. I want to see that dog go. I want to.
Take him a good mule, because Joel hunts a foot as far as I know.
He's got a
And
buggy. He's got a buggy. He runs around in.
but he can't get through that country. That country's got a lot of rim rock and there's a lot of boulders and stuff. And way back in the day when Joel was still younger and in good shape and hunting all the time, him and Marlon were talking about me, I guess. And Marlon said, "Well, Benny will go. He's not going to go unless he's on his horse or his mule." And Joel said, "Well, sometimes you got to go 3 or 4 miles to get around to get through, where you could just leave them there and climb down through the rocks." And Marlon said, "I've ridden with Benny. Benny will take the 5 mile route." And I said, "You're exactly right, Marlon, because you get off in that country and that lion doesn't stay put, and then he just runs another 2 miles. What are you going to do?"
Run with him.
Yeah, the hell with that. That's why I fed those animals. Didn't haul them all that way for nothing.
Well, then Larry Webb hunts that same country, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't know where all Larry hunts. He's up there though.
I think Larry's put together a really good set of dogs.
Larry always had pretty decent dogs. At one time, Larry wanted to recreate the wheel, and he bought some. He had, I think, 1 or 2 of those French dogs that came out of Africa.
Yeah, those.
Remember?
I hunted. I hunted a couple of those. A guy sent them to me to hunt for him.
How'd they do?
I sent them back. But I don't think it. The dogs really didn't get much of a chance, because when they sent them to me, they were so fat and out of shape. They were overfed, out of shape.
Big dogs.
Big, huge, big, long ears, big pointed heads on them, and a nose that looks like it could hold a month's worth of scent in it. They were big old dogs. And we caught a bear. We caught a bear with I can't remember if I had my Super Hoover dog there or not, but we treed a bear up one of those canyons up at camp, and they treat good. I mean, and everything, but there was only one dog that was capable of going the next day. They were all toast. I mean, bad. And then they were sore. They just stayed sore-footed.
Back in the days of big game houndsmen, there was a guy in Colorado that had some of those dogs, and he was pretty high on them, but I don't remember who he was. But I kept asking him, "But what are you hunting, and what are the conditions?" I'm just, and I'm not trying to pick on people. I really was wanting to know. It's like me and Ike going round and around. So if your dogs can truly rig lions all the time. Tell me the conditions and the situation.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it can't be done. I want to know about it, but I don't want a bunch of chest thumping keyboard warrior nonsense.
Well, yeah, that's, you never, I never, like Henry McIntyre said, so I don't care about anybody having better dogs than me. He said, if they do, that's where I know where to go get my next dog, but they got to prove it. I had a guy send me messages today. He's looking at a guy's dog, and he said, you know anything about this dog? And I said, no. I said, I don't know nothing. He said, how about the guy who hunts him? I said, yeah, I know him. And I said, from what I hear, he's traveled around quite a bit and put together, he would go get good dogs, wherever he went. And he said, well, and finally the guy said, he sell me this dog, guaranteed that he catch his own game, tree real good, and you call him off the tree and go back to the truck without a leash. He said, if he didn't do that, if he didn't do any of those things, he said, I'll give you your money back. I said, well, then that sounds like a pretty dang good deal to me. I mean, if you
That's
trust
like a
the
horse.
guy, yeah.
Guarantee it sound, right? If you guarantee it sound.
Take it and use it. I mean, if you trust the guy, take him and use him. And everybody's got a little video camera on their phone right now. If for some reason, that dog's not doing what he's supposed to do or whatever, video it and go back to him and say, hey, here, I had to leash this dog up and drag him back to the truck, or I couldn't call him off, or whatever. My other dogs caught this bear. This dog wouldn't even tree or go, or, I don't even know what the guy was going to hunt. I think he was going to hunt lions, I think. But
yeah, but I mean, how many times have you seen a dog work different for someone else? Like,
or in the company, or in the company of different dogs.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
My dogs will come to me. My kids call my dogs, and they don't. They're like, "What?" They look at me. The dogs look at me.
Yeah.
So, and they listen to me, and I'll say, "God, go over there," and they'll listen. So when you've got a dog that's 2, 3, 4 years old, or 5-year-old, you're selling as a finished dog, and you've had that dog for 5 years, you get it with someone else. It's like a whole new owner,
Yeah. I'm funny. If I get them to where I think they're somewhat finished, I don't want to get rid of them. I want to keep them. I'll sell puppies, but I don't know.
How many times has somebody bought a dog with some kind of guarantee and given the money back? I wonder about that.
Well, especially a $4,000 or $5,000 dog.
Well,
most time these guys are selling dogs because they're broke.
Well, Henry McIntyre never trained a dog. He always bought dogs. That's just how Henry ran. And so I was with Tom White one time in the Capitans, and he said, hey, you got that little red dog? I said, yeah, where'd you get that dog? He says, I bought him from Henry McIntyre. I've got him on a 30-day trial. He said, and Henry says he's this kind of dog and that kind of dog, and he guaranteed me my money back in 30 days if I didn't like him. I said, well, how come he looks like a wire-haired terrier? He said, yeah, his hair's not right. I said, well, he's not acting right. What's the matter with him? He says, I don't know. He acts like something's wrong with him. I said, well, Henry doesn't build dogs. He buys them. Where'd that dog come from? He said he came from a guy in Arizona named John Clump. I said, okay. I said, so when we get back to town, hang on, and I'll go talk to John. And I called John, and I said, hey, tell me about this Harley dog. Did you sell a little red dog named Harley to Henry? And he says, oh, yeah. He says, man, that was a nice dog. He says, how do you know about him? And I told him the story. He said, well, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he was a go-getter when I sold him. He's a top-notch dog. And so Tom took the dog back down there to McIntyre and said, hey, this is what's going on, and I want my money back. And he said, I thought I was going to have to fist fight that old man. He said he was mad and told me I didn't know anything about dogs. And, 4 days later, that dog died at Henry's house.
Lead poisoning?
No, no, I guess the dog was sick. Something happened, and
Oh,
he died. And if Tom hadn't have taken him back, he'd have eaten that dog.
they said that Henry always carried a big old wad of cash in his pocket, and that he come across a dog he wanted, he'd pull that cash out and
Buy
start
it right
flipping
then.
those $100 bills. Look who showed up. I bet you 10-1 he's out trying to catch a bobcat somewhere. Can't hear you.
No sound, no sound.
And we don't read lips very good.
We can, but you don't. You want to know what we're gonna? Oh, look. Hey guys, you guys got the best show out there. That's what he said.
Yeah. You guys are my hero. You guys are my heroes.
You got him on mute?
I wish I had as good a dogs as you guys got. That's what Cody's saying. That's what he just
log
said.
Back on.
Yeah. Oh, what's that? Oh, he wishes that he could find people like us to hunt with and hang out with.
He's tried to come down and hang out with me and learn, but you know. Tell you what, Cody decided he was going to hunt lions, and he went down to Mexico and he caught more lions in a week than I think I've caught in a lifetime.
Yeah. Well, we tried to get Cody on.
He's trying again.
He had sound before. I heard it.
There it is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you are.
Hey,
Where are you going?
I am heading home as fast as I possibly can. I just got a lion call. I'm fixing to load dogs up and head west.
What is it
How
in Nome,
far?
Alaska? Because I know you'll drive a long ways for a lion.
He said
No,
west.
it's about 4.5 hours west of me. So I put in the effort. I'm not. When
Oh,
I
I
get as
know.
old as you, Brett, I'll hunt around the house too. But until then, I'm going to put in the effort.
He made me feel terrible driving all the way up here about 2.5 hours from me.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Man, I wasn't on. I was driving down the road and I was looking for something to listen to, and I said, "Man, it's Monday. I'll listen to Brett and Chris." And I logged on, and as soon as I did, Chris said, "And let me talk about outlaws." So I'm glad y'all had me pegged. What are y'all up to?
We're just telling lies.
Shit, I'm good
Guaranteed
at that.
lies.
I caught a catfish last week that was so big when I pulled him out of the water, the lake went down 3 inches.
Tell us about your call, your lion call. Is it a good?
No,
Is it,
this is some Cody King luck right here. So I had planned to go to this ranch this morning, and a friend of mine came down, wanted to go with me. We were going to go lion hunting and bobcat hunting, and so we're sitting around the house last night, and my buddy says, "Man, y'all got any Nilgai around here?" Which is an antelope that runs wild down here in South Texas. And I said, "Yeah, we got a bunch of them." And he said, I've just lifelong dream was been to kill a Nilgai." And I said, "Well, get in the truck, we'll go look." We went and drove around, and about midnight, we shot about a 600-pound Nilgai, and I didn't get to bed till 4 o'clock in the morning, and sleep in a little bit. We wake up early, process the Nilgai. He leaves because we killed the Nilgai. He's going home. We're not going cat hunting anymore. And I wake up, come in the office, and then right now I get a call that says, "Hey, we found a dead deer covered up and saw the lion run off of it this evening."
I'll
There
be
you go.
dang.
There it
And
is.
I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to be there today, and I got tired and lazy, and that's what happened. So,
Yeah, and the older you get, the more tired you get, and the more lazy you get.
yeah,
That's fact.
that's exactly right. So
Well, good.
I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
head over there and see if I can find it.
you're gonna send us some pictures, right?
Yeah, if I can get him caught, I'll send you a bunch of pictures.
Let me see.
Hey, you watched that interview with Dickerson, right?
Me?
Cody. Yeah, Cody.
No, I have not seen it. I've seen it posted, and I haven't had time to watch it yet.
Well, Dickerson, I think it's safe to say that Dickerson has killed more mountain lions with a flashlight than anyone ever. And so, if you're gonna rile that kind of deal, you need to go out tonight with a flashlight and get the job done and start keeping track.
I don't think you've seen my flashlight, Benny. It's a little video thing. It's it. The old 4D cell mag light days are over with.
What was John Clump hunting that jaguar with? Said he had a little cheesy
Like,
keychain flashlight.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it takes.
Better than those
Yeah, that's
98-cent Kmart specials back in the day. You had to shake 100 times to get them to work.
hey.
That's
So
probably
I learned something yesterday, and I want to know if this is true. Do you remember the old 6-volt batteries that were a big box that had the 2 springs on top of it?
Oh yeah.
Have any of y'all ever cut one of those open?
Yeah,
no.
it's like C batteries or D batteries, like 4 of them
Uh,
tied
uh,
together.
yeah. So a friend of mine just said that they used to buy them and then split them open, and they were full of the ones he had were full of AA batteries.
Wow.
Really?
I did. Yeah, those big squares evidently were just full of smaller batteries linked together. I found that pretty interesting.
Hmm. I hadn't
That
even
makes
seen one of those for a long time
I
at a
know.
store.
That's what remember the old plastic flashlights that used to run off of them that weren't worth a
Or
crap?
or the Colemans that had the handle and
Yep.
you don't open
Yep.
that old box.
I used to coon
That's
those.
so that's where I'm going, Brett. That same exact wrench.
There you go.
That's I'm headed to
I
that
knew
same
it. I
exact
knew
wrench.
it. I got the phone call before
Ricochet
you
won't
did.
be with me though.
I got the phone. I got the
You
phone
turned
call
it
before
down,
you
huh?
did. I said, nah. I said I don't need to drive that far.
Yeah.
Wait till you guys find out that through AI, I'm the one that made the phone call.
my chances of catching that line would be a lot better if I had that dog in that picture with me. I can tell you that much.
Is that what
Ricochet.
Ricochet? Is that who Bosco is out of?
Yes.
I tell you something I've noticed, Cody, is Bosco has a ton of endurance. That dog can go and go and go and go. I don't think he heard me.
It
Did you hear me?
yeah. No, yes, I sure did. It is he pretty silent on trail, Brett?
Real silent. But I think he doesn't know. I haven't had him on a lion. He doesn't know. I think he reminds me a lot of my Hoover dog. My Hoover dog was like that. Just he hunted and went out and he never did anything, and all of a sudden it clicked, and he ended up being one of my best dogs. And I just don't. I think he's just waiting to see what we're doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it needs to be shown.
Like my other dogs are so track minded that they'll trail a squirrel. And he just he's not as track minded like that. I think he has to find the game. He has to know what we're out there, and then he'll probably start trying a little harder.
Chris, what were y'all talking about earlier about the Lionheart movie? I was getting some text messages and I was kind of catching half of it.
They Shorty Gorham had
Somebody
Robbie.
reviewed it.
Oh yeah, we reviewed it last week
before,
whatever, and then
the
Shorty
Houndsman.
Gorham.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shorty Gorham had Robbie dang it, what was that? What was his last name?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Wasn't he the producer?
yeah, he was the creator of it. They had him
Creator,
on there
producer, yeah.
talking to him. They were just talking about it, and they were talking about. I've only made it through a little bit of it, but I know they said they was trying to get like Warner Glenn and Kelly Kimbrough on there, and you know, so Robbie Kroger of Blood Origins, and they were actually
Yeah.
talking to Robbie about what he does. So I don't know. They were just
Huh.
reviewing it, what it was for.
I
I know
gotcha.
that they're
Is
I
it,
know they're trying to target non-hunters with a lot of their sponsorship on Meta, but they do a lot of that Facebook and Instagram stuff.
So did he pay to have that pushed out on Facebook?
Yeah, you can target your audiences by.
That's what I mean. But did he pay?
Yeah, he says
Okay.
that's what they're doing. They're sponsoring, which it's a sponsored ad. So
Well, yeah, you pay. You can go in there and pay to have your content spread out to a certain demographic.
yep. And they're trying to target a lot of their stuff they do. They're trying to target the non-hunters, and he does interviews with non-hunters and stuff. I think that's his goal, basically, and that's why he's so different. Is he takes a lot of this. He kind of works it backwards. Then, kind of like, look at me. I can catch 20 lions in a month, and he's kind of, I don't know. I don't listen to his podcast a whole lot because I can't hear him. He's real quiet on his podcast. I have to turn it up, and his guests are real loud. So
have y'all ever heard of Tree Talking Time podcast?
Yeah.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, just
Is that mostly coon
someone
hunters
mentioned.
though?
I don't know. I haven't. I mean, someone mentioned its name the other day, and I had never heard of it. But I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't. I didn't. I thought Brett invented the podcast, and they were the only ones that did it. So
I
it just
did.
tells you how much I'm out in the real world. But
I invented it.
you know,
I also
Yep.
invented the internet.
Yeah.
K. Al Gore.
Now,
Just so he could do interview stories and tells.
That's all. I had a goal in mind,
They
There's a
have
lot of
y'all heard any
podcasts out there.
updates on Colorado? Has anybody heard anything? How's it going up there?
They're
Robert's-
pushing. I see a lot of ads everywhere, like a lot of shares and clips and reels and stories, and so
Where have you been seeing that, Chris?
Instagram, Facebook.
Instagram. See, I'm not big on Instagram.
That they are that CRWM. That's because what Instagram and Facebook are tied together.
Yeah.
So, and everybody's on Facebook. Everybody on Facebook. Tree Talking Time does everything. Coon and squirrel dogs mainly. We're going to
I've
talk
seen-
about squirrels Wednesday.
On Antidote of a Houndsman.
I have a guy that says he can get some squirrel dog
I
guys
won't-
together.
I won't be able to join you on Wednesday, Chris.
What?
I got a job.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's Wednesday.
I'm a
Doing what?
I'm a professional mule packer.
Cody's in disbelief.
You hit the-
Come on, Brett.
You headed to Tennessee or what?
I did put it.
Have y'all seen where all the mule packers have been taking supplies up to the mountain people and stuff?
Well,
That's pretty.
I signed up. I mean, they're supposed to let me know if they need anybody. I felt bad. When Kyle called me, a friend of mine called me and told me about how bad it was and everything that was going on, and it just made me feel terrible. And I filled out that form on that website, and I don't know what'll happen with it or anything like that. And my wife threatened me with my life if I loaded up and took off. And
I don't mean to sound insincere, but a lot of these people, you would think these people like that live in the hurricane or where they get flooded out or fire, like Arizona's fires, you'd have a good supply. And I think what happens is people get real lax that you can just run the Walmart or down the road. So you let
Yeah.
your supply kind of diminish. But like, you live in Kansas, you're going to have a tornado. So you should really have
There's
a tornado
there's a
shelter
guy
seller.
that messaged me on Facebook a while back talking about dogs. I think he's a bull rider or a retired bull rider or something. His name's Cody Brewer. And we talked a little bit on Messenger, and then I friended him on Facebook. He made a very long post the other day. Him and a bunch of people loaded up and went over there. And
Yeah.
man, reading the story, you should definitely read it before someone decides to go, because they sure had a lot of trouble.
What, they won't let them in?
Well, they went with some people that asked them to come, and some charity, and they showed up and had everything lined up and ready to go. And then the news media showed up, and they did this big story. And it was like when the story was over and the media left, they said, y'all, we're not going.
Wow.
And yeah, scammy type stuff, His name's Cody Brewer. He made a Facebook post about it if anybody wants to read it. But
I feel like I'm.
I think he's a hog hunter, and very nice guy. We talked a little bit back and forth, and he seemed like a nice young man.
Look it up. And then there's going to be a lot of those. There's going to be a lot of those.
Yeah.
And I did a little video one time just sitting in my chair saying that everybody talks about food and toilet paper, but what about your dog supplies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much dog food? Everybody buys a couple bags here and there, and it's kind of hard to store dog food because bugs and the weevils and beetles in them. But,
I imagine, I got a bunch of meat in my freezer that I've collected over the years that I could hold out for quite a while. My dog's good. I mean, it's not meat that's suitable for human consumption.
Depends how hungry you are.
Well, that's exactly true.
Yeah. Y'all are gonna lose my life here in a little bit.
I got meat from 2010, so I'm good.
Yeah. My wife told me about that. She said, "You're really going to eat that? That's from 2010. It was good."
And no one's died yet. Let me see. Fire Rock Station Trail of North Carolina.
Did you find it, Chris?
I think I'm on the right one.
Well, they said they got 3 foot of rain or something, and that storm just sat over the top of them.
And I think some dam broke, which what really.
He said Dandy Florentine said no way we could have prepared for that storm that hit here in West North Carolina. The mountains just funneled all that water down so quick. It's worse than. It washed whole houses away and everything.
Yeah.
It was
It
washed all your for that.
Wash all your supplies away. I mean,
I seen those videos. I seen those videos where there's pots and pans floating. You can't prepare for that kind. Just
Come on, Frothy.
You just got if you're stuck up somewhere though. I mean, you should. Anybody, even in the city, should have.
Come here, Frothy.
A little bit of supply.
What do you got, Cody?
Every houndsman ought to have one of these, buddy.
Little rat terrier.
I don't know what it is, but she's ugly. Found stranded on the side of the road. My wife has a bad adoption problem. Every time she sees something on the side of the road, but I carry a bag of beef jerky in my truck, and she hears me open that gate. She always runs out here and meets me so she can get a beef jerky snack. But
bow out.
Hey, Brett, let me send you a.
Oh no! Then I lost him.
Hold on.
You can't do that to us, Cody. You can't do that.
2 dams broke. I thought she was just saying she was too damn broke. I'm gonna agree with that. Me
That's
too.
that's my line. I'm too damn broke.
Too damn broke. He's back.
What are you going to send me, Cody?
I just sent you a picture of that Nilgai we killed last night.
I'm glad you did that because I don't even know what a Nilgai is.
Is that the striped deer looking thing?
Yeah. No, it's an antelope that gets about 650 pounds, something like that. They get kind of dark blue when they're big.
Where are they?
30. King Ranch turned them loose in the 30s.
So they're an exotic that just roams, kind of like our oryx that we got right here.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly right.
I bump into those oryx out here all the time. Back where I exercise my dogs back there, there's a ton of those oryx in there. And javelina, I almost had a javelina get in my lap day before yesterday. Just attacked us.
Pew, pew.
I pulled my pistol. I pulled my pistol out. I thought, you dirty bugger, if you get 2 feet closer, you're dying. And he took it serious.
Cody, you ever find a rig dog?
Has anybody? I did. I did. I'm gonna have to move for service, but yes. Long story short is I did. I got one from Derek Edwards.
Oh, good.
A dog that I've hunted with a bunch. In fact, you remember Hercules, Brett, when we were up there? Yeah. Yeah, I got Derek's big. He's officially a fox hunter now. He bought 11 dogs off the East Coast, and he's going to try to run fox instead of bobcats.
Has he had any success yet?
No, not yet. He just got them though. He just got them.
You trying to load a picture?
Yeah, trying to here.
So, have any of y'all heard any news about the new international? Yeah, there's a Nilgai right there. Look
at that guy's face now.
He was happy.
He even looks like the Nilgai.
He might have been drinking. He might have been drinking a little bit of whiskey before we decided to go on that adventure. So
I was gonna say I've had that same look before.
Yeah. But Billy Phillips, he owns a ranch in Old Mexico named Rancho El Cerrito.
Do those things eat pretty good? Are they good eating?
Yeah, they're very good eating. Very good eating.
Big as an elk almost.
Are there a season on them, or can you just go hunt them?
No, they're an exotic. You can hunt them daytime, nighttime, spotlight, no season, kill all you want. They're not very wanted.
Are they pretty thick? I mean, is there a lot of them?
Sometimes, yeah. I shoot them in farm fields. They come out of the brush and come out into the farm fields at nighttime.
Do you butcher them then?
And yeah, they're good. They're very good to eat.
I'll be dang.
Yeah, they make really good sausage. You mix them with pork, and they make real good sausage, real good jerky, very lean meat. I've taken 2 different groups of people from Spain to hunt them, and both groups independently told me that it tastes exactly like horse meat does. So,
see, I learned these things about Cody all the time. I didn't know he was a Nilgai guide.
So that was kind of my thing for a long time. I've taken people to kill hundreds of them things.
What do you charge me?
I'll take you anytime you want to go. Won't charge you a penny.
I need to go down there and go bobcat hunting with you again, and maybe I could shoot one of those things.
We could dang sure. There was 4 of them in that field last night. I mean,
wow.
I'd like that'd be cool.
Yeah, they're big. Y'all load up and come down. We'll go.
Let's go, Chris, Benny. We'll do an on the road interview, stories and tales podcast from South Texas.
We'll be like Clay Newcomb, where he went from gas station to gas station interviewing people about deer heads.
follow us down in
My
Texas.
dogs, I pulled around the back, so my dogs are not going to behave. They know we're going hunting.
They're happy.
But yeah, let's see if they'll behave. Y'all better behave. They're not
Nope.
behaving. Hey, hey.
Nope.
No.
I tell you what, now if my dogs lived in a kennel like that,
I
they'd
got no
behave.
stories.
They wouldn't even want to go hunting.
Yeah, they'd go back in their doghouse and say, take someone else. It's kind of like me getting out of my chair in the morning.
They usually don't. They bark while I'm feeding and stuff, and they get the water hose. But whenever I pull up to that door, they know what's up. So
They know exactly.
I can't keep them quiet.
Where are those Nilgai? Where they originated from?
But the King Ranch turned 30 something of them loose, like back in the 1920s, and they just skyrocketed.
Flourished.
There's thousands and thousands of them.
Originally, are they from Africa?
India.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Originally, they're from India. Real cool animal. They're fun to hunt. So, we go out into them disc farm fields, and when we find one, your goal is to shoot it before I can hit it with the truck. I mean, you got to chase them, and they're trying to get back to the brush, and I'm trying to cut them off, and as the driver, it's really fun, and then watching everybody trying to shoot from a moving vehicle, and it's pretty Western. It's pretty good.
Are they pretty fast?
Oh man, very fast, and they can run forever. They got some big old lungs on them.
I'll be dang.
And,
that sounds like fun.
But they get out in those plowed fields, and you got to beat them back to the brush, and so it's a lot of fun.
I'll be
I
dang.
used to have a lot of country to hunt them in. I mean, I killed 28 in 1 year, and but little by little, houses getting built and high fences getting put up. I just don't have the country that I used to have, but we got it done last night. They're still around.
Lots of high fence in your country.
Yeah. And they've high fenced a lot of that country, just for the animals. But, they try to keep them Nilgai off the highway as well. As you can imagine, you hit one of them going 70 miles an hour at nighttime, and you got to
see it all day long in Arizona. Elk.
Fold right over into your windshield if you're in a little car.
Yeah. But now they're fun. Y'all should load up and come down. We'll go cat hunting, and I'll take y'all to kill one. Y'all go back with a freezer full of meat, man.
That'd be cool.
Yep.
When's the best time to hunt them? This time of year or any time of year?
Now or like February. They kind of rut in late January, early February. And but yeah, I mean, I don't hunt them much anymore, just if a friend's down or something, but I probably have a 50% kill. I mean, if we go out any one night, I probably got a 50% success rate on it. So
So what you said they blew up real quick. Do they have one calf at a time or two or?
a lot of time they have twins, but I guess they don't handle the cold. So there's a natural boundary of them going north, which is about Corpus Christi. You get any further north than that, and it freezes. They don't when we had the big Texas snowmageddon a few years ago, it killed thousands of Nilgais. They just froze to death. They don't handle the cold. I
read that.
Yeah.
Like dump trucks full of them.
Yeah. And and then there's a few down in Mexico now. They have big problems with them crossing the border because of the fever tick eradication line. They got a line there where they don't let cows or nothing cross, trying to eradicate all the fever ticks. And those Nilgais were kind of messing that up. the refuge department will come in with helicopter. If they get in a bunch of them around the refuges along the river, they'll go in with a helicopter and just kill them all, leave them lay.
Coyote food.
They'll bring fever ticks back from Mexico.
Learn something new every day.
I know.
Yeah. Have y'all heard anything about the International Houndsman deal that was supposed to be putting together?
They're still doing it. I know Chris Powell went on Meat Eater Radio and talked about it. I haven't heard it yet, but I know they got their steering committee together and they're still working on it. But I don't know.
messaged Chris twice about it, and he won't return my messages. I guess he's busy.
It's because you're friends with us.
Oh, you're friends with me. He won't talk to you.
Maybe so.
You're friends with Brett. I don't like Brett. Brett's
I'm not in the in crowd.
You know.
You're not in the in crowd, Brett.
No.
Me and Benny gonna have to go start our own podcast so we can be in the in crowd, I guess.
Don't take Benny away from us. We'll lose all our viewers.
Justin has a podcast.
That'd be
Justin.
a bad deal, Cody.
Yeah.
Colt.
You never know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We might lose one of our 3 viewers, so
Benny don't know what he's gonna say.
Guys, I'm gonna check out for the night. I've enjoyed it. Cody, it's good to see you. Hey,
Benny, good to see you.
Let me know how that lion goes.
I will. If I get after him tomorrow, I'll send you all a picture.
Hey, do a little filming. Turn that camera horizontal on your phone and do a little filming. And there you go. And we'll share it. And then you can come on and we'll share your film and everything on the podcast here.
All right. Well,
yeah, you didn't say that with a lot of confidence.
All right. I'll think about it.
I got to get him caught
Maybe.
first. So
We'll see you guys.
We'll see you, Benny. Take care.
Benny.
Thanks.
So
yeah, I gotta get him caught first, but I'll definitely give it a whirl.
Try.
I'll be by myself, so I won't be in a hurry. I'll
Just
be
hold
able
that-
to take
just-
my time.
Just hold that phone up like that and then turn it around and talk to it. Tell a story.
Or you can send me a link. And if I catch it, you can send me a link and then you can walk me through it.
Just send me all your footage and
We'll
I'll
just
edit
go
out
live.
all the screaming at the dogs. And
Yep.
All the bad stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just
If
go
you
live.
get real good at Photoshop, you can take that raccoon and make it look like a lion. That's all I need.
Yeah, it can be done. AI can do all kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah. But well, guys, I got a lot
you
of
better
work
get on
to
the
do.
road.
I'm gonna load some stuff up and get on the road. So I appreciate it.
All
And
right. Stay awake.
y'all,
Thanks for coming on.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
get bored, holler at me. But I'll let you know how it goes. Appreciate it.
Sounds good. Thanks for dropping
deal.
in, Cody.
You bet.
Chris, it's just me and you, buddy.
That guy.
That guy goes
I'ma
now.
go home.
He goes.
I'm gonna go home and load up and go catch a lion.
Hasn't had any sleep either.
No, no. He'll be Red Bulled up.
Man, I
Yeah.
get tired just thinking about it.
I know it's 7:30 here, and I gotta get in bed so I get up early, just to go 5 minutes and chase a bear.
How do you choose a YouTube channel name? I've always wondered.
Well, most people just think they're gonna start a YouTube, like I did, and like me personally, I just read a book, and he kept talking about anecdotal this and anecdotal that, and all the stories, and I said, well, I'm just going to start me one anecdote of a houndsman, which anecdote don't mean it's true. So that relinquished me from any liability of the truth. That's how I
My
did it.
channel name, it used to be CBV TV, and that was just like a joke. I mean, I just, when back in the bulletin board days, I was Cowboy Vaughn. So that was CBV, and then TV because I was on YouTube, and I didn't even take it serious. And then one time I was out. I forget what I heard. I heard it. I was riding a mule, and I thought, I've always been fascinated with the old time hunters and the old time guys, like 100 years ago, and then the way I hunt, Henry McIntyre said, I asked him how he hunted. He said, I get on a mule or a horse and I ride circles, put the dogs on the ground. And that's the way, a lot of guys used to hunt. So I just thought, man, born 100 years too late. So that's what I did. Interview stories and tales. Just when I decided to just concentrate, make this channel about talking to people and doing basically what me and Chris do. I just interview stories and tales, and I spelled tales Tails instead of Tales, and thought that works for what we do here.
Stories.
Yeah, we tell
talk about interviews, and maybe we should call it interview stories and lies.
Same thing.
Same thing. A tale don't have to be true, right?
No, it's just a tale. But yeah, so that's the way we did, or I did mine. It started out, when I started out making videos, it was just kind of a hobby, like something creative I could do. And then one thing led to another. Next thing you know, I was monetized, and I thought, man, they'll pay you for doing this stuff. Not so much the interviews and stories and tales. It doesn't, as far as AdSense through YouTube, it doesn't pay anything. But my born 100 years too late, because I reach a broader audience, and they pay me for that, and it's really cool. I don't have to deal with the advertisers in any way, and YouTube will send me a check. They run ads on my YouTube, and I don't have to mess with anything. All I did was sign up for it. So
it's getting to the point where you need to put born 200 years too late.
Yeah.
100 years ago, that was 1920s now.
I've had criticism before. They say, "Oh, you're born 100 years too late, and yet you're out there and you have a GPS and you have a satellite messenger and everything like that." And I said, "Yeah, and the only reason you're watching this is because I got a camera too." So, I mean, I'm not above using modern equipment.
Yeah, all those guys that do the reenactments and go to the mountain man rendezvous.
Yeah.
They have rules. So many guns, what kind of gun, like you still take a car to get there.
Yeah, mine is it's just the mode of travel that I typically use. I'm on a mule, riding through the hills, and I got a buggy, and believe me, the last 3 mornings I've been out with the buggy with the hounds, but I prefer being out on my mule. And when it cools off more, it's hard. Like the other day, I went out, I made a little video, and I went out to what I call a Tanaka water source, and worked with Bonnie a little bit, and man, I didn't know if I was going to get those hounds back to the truck. I mean, it got hot, and they get hot, and they're hunting shade, and it's hard on them when it gets over 90, 93, 94 degrees. It's pretty hard on them.
It gets, even by 9-10 o'clock here, and I'm at 70,000 feet, it's still getting 90 degree, 80. It gets to 80. It starts warming up pretty good, So
I think in 2 weeks is when it's going to start cooling down really good, and be able to stay out and everything. The problem I got now is my grandson has a deer hunt, I have a deer hunt, and my grandson has an elk hunt. So, and they're all right together. They're different hunts. I wish my grandson's deer hunt was the same week as mine, but it's not. So my deer hunt is first, and then he'll have a deer hunt, and then he has that elk hunt. And the only thing I really get excited about is the elk hunt. And I don't even really get excited about that, except I'd like to see him shoot an elk. He got a real nice buck here a few years ago. He drew a good tag, and I took him up there and got him a pretty nice buck with a muzzle loader. It was kind of comical, really.
Yeah.
But it shot a pretty nice buck.
How is camp, Chris? They're actually being quiet. I'll show you if I can get it turned around there.
Oh wow, that looks nice, Chris.
Bunch of yahoos out
Look
there.
at all the people. You attract a
I know.
crowd.
I know. It's all my fans, my groupies.
Your groupies, they follow you around.
It's my groupies. It's all my groupies out there. I had an undercover visit the camp today. So he came by, talked to him.
Yeah.
That's his new name, Undercover.
I wish I knew who it was.
It's the guy out there that when you said, who are those guys? And I pointed at him and said, those are the undercover guys.
Oh, it's the rendezvous.
Yeah. So I said, no matter what, you're going to be the undercover guy, whether you are or not.
From now
Because
on.
he's the one that told me about the bag of apples. And I said, he's probably undercover guy, set me up or whatever I said. He took it as I called him an undercover. So now I said,
Are apples good bear bait?
what?
You didn't just jump on that and answer.
I don't know. I heard they were. I don't know who keeps hanging them by my camp though. So no, I didn't even camp here in August, so I don't know who hung them over here. Probably someone trying to frame me up. So
That's what they do. Just ask Benny.
yeah, but it is a little chilly. It's a little chilly tonight.
Yeah, you got a hoodie on. What's that all about?
Oh no, that's just AI. I didn't want everybody to think I was that tough.
Last time you were just bragging about you always wore a T-shirt. You'd be snow on the ground and you'd
I
be
thought
have
it
a
was going to
T-shirt
get
on.
colder, so I threw a hoodie on just in case. But it's a little chilly tonight.
So all that talk from last week was just talk.
Yeah, that's all I do. It's all lies. Everything I say is lies. Baiting, cameras. I took them all down last week, anyways. Since I'll be over here.
Do you run into very many other bear hunters in that area?
Well, because Unit 1 shut down, I ran into 1, 2, ran into Meekum. I think it's Chris Meekum. I thought he said Eric. Anyways, he's on here as Minx95.
He drops in on our podcast here or whatever you want to call this thing we do.
Yeah, someone told me he's from Utah, so I pulled into his camp and said, what are you doing? He says, I'm over here harassing all your bears. So
I got a kick out of
nothing.
Steve Ranella, what he said. He said, you're out. He said, it doesn't matter when you're out hunting or you're out in your area. He said, it doesn't matter if you're looking for railroad spikes and you see another car and you think, oh, they're out here in my area trying to get these railroad spikes. You always think that there's somebody's competing with you in an area.
No matter what niche, rock, it don't matter. If you're out there picking berries, someone's in your area. You know, like those reality TV where those people were hunting ginger. They're up there hunting that ginger, and I mean, anything happen, any niche, anything you're doing out there, someone's. You know, do I want anybody over here hunting? No, but I don't own it. Well, I do own it, I guess, public landowner, but so does everybody else.
I'm serious about you coming over here. I'm going to be out and about. I'll be out, deer hunting and everything. And I'm going some places. If I find there's places where nobody hunts bears here and there's bears. I got a guy bear here, I don't know, several years ago in a place we never run into another houndsman. You just don't, it's too hard to get into. And this is not up by my camp. This is better country. You can get around on a mule fairly good in it. So it might be. Bring those good bear dogs you got over here. Tree me a bear so I can shoot a bear.
I'd let you shoot a bear. I don't think I need nothing for you to shoot a bear, do I?
No, just your dogs and you.
Mm-hmm.
I need a professional bear guide. That doesn't charge. You can't charge me nothing though.
Professional is paid. You just need somebody that can maybe catch you a bear. You need a pro bono bear catcher.
There you go. Yep. We could do it. I'll take a pack mule and we'll bin Lily it.
That'd be fun.
Make a cinematic bear hunting video. Matter of fact, I'll just film you until it comes time to shoot, and then I'll be the shooter, and I'll just be the videographer.
Chris, did you ever find out about that guy I got the Mathis dogs from? No. Did you give me a name? I don't think you gave me a name. I don't think he knows the name. Everybody has a Mathis dog or a Lily dog or a Del Lee dog. Or I had a guy give me one. Oh, these are out of the Lee line, or the Ben Lilly had these line of dogs. I don't know how he knew that, but
Look at the signature on that.
Mr. Mathis.
Steven Matt. I got all his pedigree here.
Oh, I got plenty of blue ticks. I keep catching them with my reds and my walkers.
Didn't the blue tick show up?
Yeah, I leave them in the truck. They're too slow anyways. Now, I got some fast blue ticks. Probably too fast. Small. They're all bred small, but they're half red. Allen from Nevada, Allen.
Jeff Allen. No, he's not from Nevada.
No, you know who you might want to ask about that is Jared or Rowdy. Come on Wednesday, I'll ask them. Of course, we'll be talking about squirrels, hopefully, if Chris comes through with his squirrel guys.
I won't be there. I'm not big on squirrel hunting anyway.
I'm curious to see how they run their dogs. Or
It's
what
pretty
they're
neat.
using.
They talk about those dogs and the squirrels. What do they say when they jump from tree to tree? Timbering. Those squirrels are timbering when they move from tree to tree.
And they'll lay flat up there. You can't see them. We've been squirrel hunting too. It's squirrel season. I had Stinker. Stinker finally figured out she could chase them squirrels, and she does 100 miles an hour, but she's not. She'll look up. She treed on that bear, but she don't really bark at the squirrels yet. We've even shot them out to her. She plays with them.
They have a hard time locating them?
Man, I have a hard time locating them, even with the scope sometimes. They get up there and lay flat in them real bushy tops. So.
Do they eat pretty good?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to deep fry some up probably after I'm done with this. I deep fry them. Or I had a can cooker. I've put them in the can cooker with some bacon. And
what kind of oil do you use? Do you use bear fat?
Bacon grease. Yep.
Just as long as you don't use vegetable oil.
Well, sometimes that's all I got.
That's terrible for you.
It is. Any of that is.
Yeah.
I usually use olive oil.
Olive oil's good.
Yeah.
I would imagine bear fat would be really good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is the best. That's what I use. I got to get some. I got to replenish my supply.
There's a flashlight behind you.
Yep. My dad headed back to his camp.
Your dad walks like I do.
Yep. I'm surprised he's still up at 8:00.
I know it's getting past the 3-hour mark already.
Yep.
Has anybody got any more questions? Anything going on?
Yeah, and blue ticks, everyone has a camera, and that's a fact. Yep. Bobcats will jump tree to tree.
See them do it. Some opinion.
Oh, them squirrels, they'll be gone. You lose more squirrels going up a tree than you do anything.
What kind of squirrels are they, Chris?
Just those gray tree squirrels.
Gray squirrels?
Yeah.
Not tassel-eared or whatever they call them, or?
Nah, I don't think so.
I don't know much about squirrels.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, gray tree squirrel. They're real pretty. Got that red stripe down their back.
They pretty big?
Yeah, some of them are pretty big. Like chicken wings. Their legs are like chicken wings.
Yeah.
And I shoot them, man. I skin them as soon as they hit the ground. I started skinning one the other day, and it tried to bite me, I think, because it was still kind of alive. Stuck a knife in it, and it jerked. So it's the only way to skin them. God dang, man. If you leave them, get back camp, they're just real hard to skin. Unless you got an air compressor.
You got to skin them hot?
I do. I just rip them off right then, and I don't even gut them. I just throw them in my bag, and when I get back here, I'll cut what I want out of them.
Have you ever done that with coyotes with the air compressor?
No.
I tried. When I hunted coyotes all the time. back in the day when the coyote pelts were worth something.
Yeah, no, we just skinned them out on a tree in the front yard, and I got arthritis in all my fingers now. These two from pulling the eye sockets down, and this one from holding the knife while I skinned the head out. You're always like this, pulling that skin down and skinning. So this finger here, I always kind of wondered why they hurt. And then been a few years by, and I shot another coyote, went to skin it out, and I figured it out. Hurt. So, yeah.
Well, what do you think, Mr. Chris?
Make me some dinner. I think my boys, they go to bed. I think they made couple noodle and they hit the hay. So
early start tomorrow morning?
Yeah, I get up at 4. Try to get out by 5. So
you're only allowed to dump the dogs, 30 minutes before daylight, something like that?
As soon as it's light. Yeah. Yep. Has to be light enough.
You go early. Do you drive, and if you get a rig, do you sit on there until you can dump the dogs?
I usually got a place I want to go, so I'll try to get there before then, and then rig on the way. If I get a rig, I'll just sit there and wait, and I'll let go on it as soon as it gets light. Or like Saturday, I left from camp and just dropped off a big hill over here, and that's when I treat a couple.
How often do you have to check your baits?
Every day. Got to refill them with that dog food and syrup.
Oh, that's better than apples.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So, undercover guy be back tonight. He has Starlink in his truck. Do you know what he told me?
What?
He told me that Starlink is going up in price because now you can put it on top of your truck and drive around and use it.
I've heard that. They got a new system out right after I bought mine.
He says you can do it on ours.
Really?
I don't know. I said, well, what's the dish look like? And he pulled his out. He had it in his truck right there. Undercover guy's got to have it, internet all the time.
Sure.
But he said you could put it on your truck and even drive around. I'm like, what? So I'm sure they're going to make some round dish sits on your truck.
Oh, yeah. But Dandy Florentine. Good luck to you all tomorrow, Chris. Thanks, guys. Good night. Good night. Yeah, I'm getting tired myself.
Me too.
It's been a long day.
I'm going to eat and get the hay.
I had to road that backhoe into town.
I had to go to town, get dog food, and go feed the neighbor's horses, take a shower. I took a shower.
I swear, I wish I lived close to you. Feed my
so
horses, my dogs, and take me to town, get my medicine. Yeah, shoot.
Yeah, my wife even went and cleaned her house tonight. So.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. She had no energy, so got all the
good
dishes
neighbor.
Done.
You're a good neighbor.
Like State Farm.
Stay over there.
State Farm,
I say like a good neighbor, stay over there.
Yeah, there you go.
What do you think, Chris? Call it a night?
I think it's time to go. Yes, sir.
Guys, thanks for stopping in.
Wednesday.
Onward and upward and all that stuff. All right. In broadcast.